Ancient wisdom whispers a single, unnerving truth, a truth that echoes in the quiet moments of your life, in the space between your hurried thoughts. It says that who you think you are is not who you truly are. You are not the name you were given, not the job you hold, not the stories you tell yourself about your past. These are merely costumes, worn for a time. And perhaps you have started to feel the fabric of that costume wearing thin. Perhaps you have felt a deep and quiet ache, a sense of profound homesickness for a place you cannot name. You have followed the rules, played the game, built a life that should feel complete, yet a silent question persists in the dead of night. Is this all there is? This question is not a sign of failure. It is not a symptom of a broken mind. It is the most sacred of invitations. It is the first tremor of a great awakening. It is the soul, stirring from its long slumber, beginning to push against the confines of the identity it has been assigned. This journey you are about to embark upon is not about adding more to yourself. It is not about learning new tricks or building a better personality. It is a journey of undoing, an unraveling, a letting go. It is a process of subtraction, of gently dismantling the fortress of the mind so you can remember the infinite, silent space that lies within. We will not be seeking answers in the outside world, for that is where we learn the illusions. Instead, we will turn our gaze inward, with courage and with compassion. We will learn to sit with the restless mind, not as an enemy to be conquered, but as a frightened child to be soothed. We will look at the nature of reality itself, at the energy that flows through all things, and at the universal laws that govern creation and experience. You will be invited to surrender, not in weakness, but in profound strength, to let go of the oars and finally allow the river of life to carry you. This is a path of remembrance, remembering the peace that was yours before the world told you to be anxious, remembering the wholeness that was yours before you were told you were incomplete, remembering the light that you are, beneath all the layers of fear and doubt. The world you see is a reflection of the consciousness that sees it. To change the world, you do not fight the reflection. You must change the source. Everything is about to change, because you are about to remember who you are. So take a slow, deep breath. The journey has already begun. A spiritual awakening rarely begins with a flash of brilliant light or a moment of blissful revelation. It does not often arrive as a welcome guest. It comes silently, almost invisibly, like a hairline crack appearing on a surface that was thought to be flawless. This is the first crack in the armor you have spent a lifetime carefully constructing. The armor of your identity, your achievements, your roles, and your expectations. From the outside, everything still looks correct. The house stands, the career is stable, the relationships are in place. You smile, you nod, you move through the familiar motions of your day. But inside, something fundamental has begun to shift. A nameless disquiet. An emptiness that seeps into the quietest moments, even in the middle of a noisy crowd. You might be at a celebration in your honor, yet feel profoundly alone. You might achieve a goal you have pursued for years, only to find the thrill of victory vanishes like smoke, leaving a stale aftertaste and a cold, reverberating question from the depths of your being. Is this all there is? That question. That is the sound of the crack. It is not a question born of ingratitude or entitlement. It is the most honest whisper of your soul, a soul that has grown weary of wearing a costume that no longer fits. Society provided a blueprint for happiness. Get the education, build the career, find the partner, buy the home, climb the ladder. We believed in this blueprint implicitly. We spent our youth and our energy ticking every box on the list. Our armor was forged from the praise of others, from the numbers in our bank account, from the envy in the eyes of our peers. It protected us from judgment. It gave us a sense of security and a place in the world. And we made the most common mistake of all. We confused the armor for our actual selves. We came to believe that we were our accomplishments, But all armor, eventually, becomes a prison. The soul, like a tree, is programmed to grow. And as it begins to stir, to expand, the rigid shell around it must begin to fracture. The feeling of emptiness is not a sign of lack, but a sign of space being created. Space for something new, something more authentic, to be born. The crisis you feel is not an accident. It is a perfect design. It is a gift, wrapped in the rough, abrasive paper of pain and confusion. You begin to see that the race you have been running has no real finish line. Every time you reach a summit, another, higher summit appears in the distance. The cycle of becoming someone, of achieving something, has drained your life force. Joy is no longer found in the pursuit, and peace cannot be found in the prize. This is where the metaphor of the egg becomes so profound. A life is growing within the shell. At a certain point, the space inside becomes unbearable. The confinement, the pressure, the darkness becomes acute. It is the very pain of this limitation that creates an irresistible force from within. The small creature begins to peck at the shell. From the outside, this might look like an act of self-destruction, but from the inside, it is an act of liberation. The first crack appears, then a second. Each peck is an affirmation of life, an impulse toward the light, the air, the freedom that lies beyond. The pain you are feeling, the confusion, the sense that your world is falling apart, is the pain of pecking at your own shell. It is not the pain of death, it is the pain of birth. The outside world will not understand this. It will advise you to patch the crack. It will offer you the tape of distraction, a vacation, a new purchase, another relationship, a more ambitious project. It will tell you to be positive, to practice gratitude for what you have. It does this because it too is afraid of its own cracks. It is afraid of the empty space behind the armor. But you, the one listening to this, you know that patching the crack is no longer an option. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unfeel what you have felt. Your innocence is lost, and that is a good thing. The truth has begun to emerge, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you. Cherish this crack. Do not rush to fill it. Sit with it. Breathe with it. Allow the emptiness to be. Have the courage to face the possibility that the path you are on may not be your path at all. That the values you have been chasing may not be the values of your soul. This admission is excruciating, but it is also strangely liberating. It is like realizing you have spent your entire life diligently climbing the wrong wall. The exhaustion is real, the wasted effort is real, but now, at least, you can stop. You can put the ladder down and for the first time truly ask yourself, where is my wall? This crack is a portal. It is the only way in. Before, you lived entirely on the surface, in the world of form and story. Now, through that fissure, you get your first glimpse into the depths. What will you see? At first, you may see chaos, a churning mess of thoughts, emotions, memories, and fears that you have successfully repressed for years. This is the mechanism that was operating behind the armor. As the veil of the ego is slightly lifted, we come face to face with the real machine that has been running our lives, the unobserved, incessant mind, with its constant judging and worrying. And recognizing the existence of this machine is the very next step on the journey to freeing yourself. The crack is not the end of your old world. It is the beginning of the foundation for a new one. A world built not on accomplishment, but on authenticity. Not on noise, but on silence. Not on who you think you are, but on who you truly are. As the first cracks in the armor begin to widen, what is revealed is not light, but noise. A relentless, chattering monologue that echoes in the skull from morning until night. It comments, it criticizes, it worries, it remembers, it plans. This voice has always been there, but you were so identified with it, you never recognized it for what it is. You believed it was you, This is the most intimate and pervasive tyranny known to humanity, the tyranny of the unobserved mind. It is a despot that has ruled your inner kingdom for so long, a ghost in the machine that you have tragically mistaken for your own soul. It wakes with you, and before your feet even touch the floor, it is already generating a list of anxieties, obligations, and potential failures. It accompanies you through your day, a constant narrator of your life, ceaselessly comparing you to others, judging your performance, replaying past mistakes. You should have said this. You are not doing enough. They are better off than you are. It follows you into your sleep, rehearsing old grievances or projecting catastrophic futures. It is never silent. It thrives on problems, on drama. If there is no problem to solve, it will create one. Peace is its enemy, because in the silence of true peace, the mind stream loses its grip, and the ego it supports cannot survive. The grand illusion that has held you captive is the belief that this anxious, incessant voice is the core of your being. Imagine your mind is a river. For years, this river has been a raging torrent, murky and brown, carrying with it all manner of debris, mud, broken branches, and discarded trash. The mud is your negative emotions and judgments. The trash is your painful memories and limiting beliefs. The branches are the random, disconnected thoughts that float by. And for all this time, you have not been sitting on the bank, watching this river flow. You have been thrown into the middle of it. You are swept away by its currents, tossed and turned, submerged in its murky water, crashing against the rocks of anxiety and fear. You struggle to keep your head above the surface, only to be pulled under by another wave of thought. When you are living in the middle of this chaotic river, you cannot see anything clearly. You believe the river and its turmoil are reality. You believe its chaos is your chaos. Spiritual awakening, at this crucial stage, is not the attempt to clean up the river. That is a futile and exhausting task. You cannot stop the thousands of thoughts that flow through your consciousness each day. To even try is to create more struggle, more suffering. The true breakthrough, the first real door to freedom, is the simple realization that you are not the river. You are the one who can step out of the current, sit down on the green, quiet bank, and for the first time in your life, simply watch the river go by. This is the birth of the observer within you. The observer, also called awareness or presence, is not something new you must create. It has always been there, silent, behind the noise of the mind. It is the still, spacious background in which all thoughts and emotions appear and disappear. You can experience this right now. Close your eyes or simply turn your attention inward. And then, wait for your next thought to arise. Do not try to produce it. Just wait for it. Like a cat watching a mouse hole, you are simply watching, waiting for the thought mouse to appear. In that moment of pure waiting, a subtle but profound shift occurs. You are no longer the thinker. You are the awareness that is noticing the thinker. A space has been created between you and the thought. In that space is freedom. In that space is peace. When a thought arises, such as "I have so much to do," instead of being swept away by the anxiety it carries, the observer simply notes its presence. Ah, a thought about work has appeared. You do not judge it, you do not fight it, you do not analyze it, you allow it to be, and you allow it to pass, like a cloud drifting across the vastness of the sky. The sky is not harmed or defined by the clouds, no matter how dark or stormy they may be. The sky is simply the space that allows the clouds to come and go. You are the sky. Your thoughts are the clouds. As you begin to practice this, you discover a startling truth. The vast majority of your thoughts are repetitive, pointless, and often completely untrue. They are ghosts from the past and phantoms of the future. They are old mental habits, grooves worn into the brain by years of repetition. The ego, the I you thought you were, is the entity constructed from your identification with this stream of thinking. It builds a story of me, a poor me, a victimized me, a me that needs to prove itself. Your entire life may have been dictated by the need to defend and fortify this fictional story. When you step back and observe, the power of these thoughts begins to diminish. They can no longer pull you into the river because you are firmly planted on the bank. Anxiety arises, and you watch it. Anger surfaces, and you watch it. You are no longer the anger. You are the spacious awareness that is holding the anger. This does not mean you become cold or unfeeling. On the contrary, you feel everything more deeply, but you are no longer overwhelmed by it. The tyranny of the mind lies in its ability to convince you that you have no choice but to obey its every command. But now you know the secret. You have a choice. You can choose to disengage from its drama. You can choose to step back into the role of the silent watcher. This is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice. There will be times you forget, times you are once again swept away into the current. Do not be discouraged. This is perfectly normal. The moment you realize you have been swept away, in that very moment, you are already back on the bank. Be gentle with yourself in this process. Observing the mind reveals with absolute clarity that a tremendous amount of your life force is wasted every single day in fighting, resisting, and struggling with your own thoughts. We try to suppress negative thoughts. We try to force ourselves to be positive. This ceaseless internal war leaves us depleted. It is the root of all stress and exhaustion. So, what is the next logical question? What happens if we stop fighting? What if, instead of resisting the river, we were to allow it to flow freely while we rest in the stillness of the bank? This leads us to the threshold of an even deeper art, a more profound secret, the art of surrender. As you sit on the silent bank, watching the chaotic river of the mind, you become aware of the sheer futility of the lifelong battle you have been waging. The constant struggle against your own thoughts, the endless war against the circumstances of your life. This internal warfare has a name: resistance. It is the source of your exhaustion. There is another way, a path of profound intelligence and unimaginable power. Yet it is a path the ego fears above all else. It is the art of surrender. The moment the word surrender is spoken, the conditioned mind recoils. It equates surrender with giving up, with failure, with weakness and defeat. Never surrender is the mantra of the ego, the rallying cry of a world built on struggle and conflict. But the surrender we speak of here has nothing to do with weakness. It is not resignation. It is, in fact, the most courageous and powerful action you can ever take. It is not a surrender of outward action, but an end to the war within. Imagine you have fallen into quicksand. Your most primal instinct screams at you to fight, to struggle, to claw your way out. You thrash about in a panic, using all your strength to escape the mire. But what happens? The more you struggle, the faster and deeper you sink. Your panic, your resistance, is collaborating with the very nature of the quicksand to pull you under. This is a perfect metaphor for human suffering. An unwanted situation arises in your life that is the quicksand. Your mind immediately begins to struggle. This shouldn't be happening. Why me? I refuse to accept this. The more you resist the reality of the moment, the deeper you sink into the quicksand of anger, despair, and victimhood. The wise person, finding themselves in quicksand, does something completely counterintuitive. They stop struggling, they take a deep breath, and they lean back, spreading their body wide across the surface. By increasing their surface area, by yielding to the nature of the quicksand, they float. They did not defeat the quicksand. They did not conquer it. They understood its properties and yielded to them in an act of intelligent self-preservation. Surrender is this act of leaning back into the fabric of reality. It is a conscious, willing yes to the present moment, whatever form it takes. When a painful emotion arises, instead of struggling against it with the thought, "I shouldn't feel this way," you lean back into it. You say, "Yes, sadness is here now. I can feel it as a heaviness in my chest. I will allow it to be here. In that moment of allowing, the war ends. You are no longer the victim of the sadness. You become the vast, silent space in which the sadness is allowed to exist. And when an emotion is allowed to exist without resistance, it passes through you much more quickly, like a weather system moving through the open sky. When a difficult life situation occurs, instead of raging against what is, you breathe and you say, "This is what is." This statement is not one of defeat. It is a sober recognition of fact. It is from this clear-eyed point of acceptance that you can then take intelligent, effective action rather than reacting blindly from a state of panic and denial. It is crucial to distinguish surrender from passivity or apathy. Surrender does not mean you sit by and let negative circumstances steamroll you without taking action. Accepting that your car has a flat tire does not mean you decide to live on the side of the road. The acceptance is simply the first essential step. You must fully accept the reality that the tire is flat before you can calmly open the trunk and get the tools to change it. If you are still in a state of resistance, yelling, cursing the tire, kicking it, you are incapable of effective action. Surrender accepts the isness of this moment so that you can act with clarity and power in the next. Nor does surrender mean giving up on your goals and dreams. You can still hold a clear intention for your life, but you surrender the desperate, anxious attachment to the outcome. You become like a master archer. She does everything in her power years of practice, choosing the right bow, gauging the wind. She draws the arrow, aims with total presence, and releases. Once the arrow has flown, she surrenders. She does not run after it, screaming at it to fly straighter. She has done her part, and she allows the universe to do its part. This is the exquisite balance between doing and allowing, between intention and surrender. How then do you practice this art in daily life? Begin with the small things. When you are stuck in traffic, instead of tensing your jaw and fuming with impatience, use it as an opportunity. Take a deep breath. Feel the contact of your body against the seat. Listen to the sounds around you without judgment. Say to yourself, "I am in traffic right now. It is what it is." You transform a moment of stress into a moment of mindfulness practice. When someone says something that hurts you, allow yourself to feel the sting of it for a moment before you react. Observe it as a pure sensation in your body. By allowing it, you rob it of its power to control you. You will find that the energy of the emotion dissolves much more quickly when it is not fueled by your resistance. When we truly surrender, when we cease our war with the now, something miraculous happens. We realize that our resistance was always connected to time. We resist the present because our mind is comparing it to a past we deemed better, or because we fear it will prevent us from reaching a future we desire. The entire burden of psychological time, the weight of regret about the past and anxiety about the futures, created by our non-acceptance of this one and only moment. When you give your complete, unconditional yes to what is, the weight of the past and future lifts from your shoulders. They lose their power over you. All that is left is the vibrant, living reality of this moment. And standing in the stillness of that reality, you begin to perceive an even deeper truth. This moment is all there ever is. You are on the threshold of shattering the greatest illusion that has ever held humanity captive, the illusion of time itself. As you learn to surrender, to say yes to the unfolding of this moment, you begin to dismantle the mechanism of resistance. And in doing so, you uncover the fuel that has been feeding that resistance all along, your conception of time. We live our lives trapped within a structure we rarely question, an invisible prison that dictates our every emotion and action. This prison is called psychological time. We are not speaking of clock time, the practical tool we use to schedule appointments and organize our days. That is functional and necessary. We are speaking of the heavy, burdensome illusion of the past and the future, a phantom reality created and sustained entirely by the human mind and the source of all anxiety and regret. Let us dissect this illusion. First, there is the past. To the egoic mind, the past is not merely something that happened, it is the very source of its identity. Your sense of me is a bundle of memories, a story constructed from past events. The mind clings to past glories to feel a sense of worth, and it clings even more tightly to past grievances to feel a sense of righteousness or victimhood. Because of what happened to me then, I am who I am now. This story, this ghost of the past, is carried with you into every new moment, coloring your perception, dictating your reactions. It generates emotions like regret, guilt, resentment, and bitterness. Yet, where does this past actually exist? It does not exist anywhere except as a memory trace in your mind, a thought form that you are choosing to activate in this present moment. You cannot go back to the past. You cannot change it. The act of dwelling on it is the act of reinfecting the pristine present with old pain. It is like carrying a bag of heavy stones on your back and insisting that the weight is a necessary part of who you are. Then, there is the future. If the past is the source of the ego's identity, the future is the source of its salvation or its damnation. The mind projects itself forward, constantly seeking a future moment where it will finally be whole, happy, and secure. When I get the promotion, then I will be at peace. When I find the right partner, then my life will truly begin. When I retire, then I can finally relax. This is the core delusion of the unconscious state, that salvation is always just around the corner, in a future that never arrives. This constant striving for a future point creates the emotions of anxiety, worry, stress, and fear. The mind is perpetually rehearsing for a life it is not yet living, caught in an endless cycle of what if. But where is this future? It too does not exist. It is a mental projection, a thought. To live for the future is to be in a constant state of not yet, to miss the only point of access you will ever have to life. Here is the most liberating truth you will ever embrace. The now is all there ever is. Your entire life does not consist of a long line of past moments and future moments. Your entire life unfolds in one single, eternal moment, now. Everything that has ever happened, happened in a now. Everything that will ever happen, will happen in a now. You have never experienced anything outside of the present moment. You cannot breathe tomorrow's air, nor can you breathe yesterday's air. You can only take this breath. You cannot live in a memory, nor can you live in a fantasy. Life is always and only now. All of your power, all of your creativity, all of your intelligence, and all of your peace reside in this timeless present moment. When you are fully present, when your attention is not being pulled into the past or future, the chattering of the mind subsides. You connect with a deeper intelligence that lies beyond thought. Problems, as the mind defines them, cannot survive in the now. A problem is a mental construct that requires psychological time. It is the gap between the situation as it is and the story your mind tells you about how it should be. When you are fully present, you are not telling a story. You are simply dealing with the situation as it arises, with clarity and calm. You are responding to life, rather than reacting to your mind's interpretation of it. So how do we break free from the prison of psychological time and anchor ourselves in the power of the now? The mind cannot be fought with the mind. You must use a different tool. You must use the body and the senses. Here are the anchors to the present moment. The simplest and most direct anchor is your breath. Your breathing is always happening now. Turn your attention to it. Feel the sensation of the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and the gentle release as you exhale. Do not try to control it. Simply observe it. Each breath is a tether that pulls your awareness out of the chaotic stream of thought and into the reality of this moment. Another powerful anchor is the inner energy field of your body. Close your eyes and ask yourself, can I feel the aliveness in my hands? Do not think about your hands. Feel them from the inside out. You may perceive a subtle tingling, a warmth, a sense of vibration. This is the life energy that animates the physical form. Now, Feel it in your feet, your legs, your arms, your entire body. By placing your attention within the body, you reclaim it from the mind. You inhabit yourself fully. You can also use your senses. When you are washing your hands, do not think about the next thing you have to do. Instead, feel the sensation of the water on your skin. Listen to the sound it makes. Smell the scent of the soap. Engage with the moment with your entire being. When you walk outside, look at a tree or a flower as if for the first time, without the mental label of tree or flower. See the intricate patterns, the vibrant colors, the sheer aliveness of it. As you practice anchoring yourself in the now, especially through the awareness of your inner body, a profound shift in perception begins to occur. Your body is no longer just a dense physical object, a sack of flesh and bone that is destined to decay. You begin to experience it as it truly is, a vibrant, intelligent field of living energy. This direct, felt sense of aliveness becomes your most trustworthy guide, an inner compass that speaks a language more ancient and more truthful than thought. And learning to listen to this compass is the next step on your journey inward. As you learn to drop your anchor into the deep, silent ocean of the now, your awareness shifts from the turbulent noise of the mind to the subtle, living presence of your body. For most of your life, you have been taught to see your body as a vehicle, a machine for carrying your brain from one place to another. You have been taught to judge it, to discipline it, to ignore its whispers until they become screams of pain or illness. But this is a profound misunderstanding. Your body is not a machine, it is an oracle. It is a compass of unparalleled sensitivity, an instrument of divine intelligence that speaks a language more ancient and more truthful than thought. While the mind can lie, speculate, and lose itself in the phantoms of past and future, the body cannot. The body exists only and always in the now, and it always, always tells the truth. Its language is not words. Its language is sensation. It is the tightness in your shoulders, the knot in your stomach, the hollowness in your chest, the warmth that spreads through you in a moment of joy. For years, you have been conditioned to interpret these signals as mere physical phenomena, problems to be solved or symptoms to be medicated. But they are messages. They are the voice of your soul, translated into the physical realm. Every emotion that you have failed to acknowledge, every tear you have refused to cry, every surge of anger you have swallowed, does not simply vanish. It is stored in the body. It becomes a pocket of frozen energy, a chronic tension, an area of numbness. The tightness across your shoulders is not just the result of poor posture. It is the physical manifestation of the burdens you are carrying. The clenched jaw is not just a habit. It is years of unspoken words and repressed frustration. The ache in your heart is not a poetic metaphor. It is a real, physical sensation of grief or loss held within your energy field. To learn the language of the body is to begin the process of true healing. It is an act of profound listening. Let us try this now. Find a comfortable position and gently close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, allow your attention to drop out of your head and move down into your body. We are not going to try to change anything. We are simply going to listen with gentle, non-judgmental awareness. Bring your attention first to your feet. Can you feel the subtle sensations within them? Perhaps a slight tingling, a warmth, a sense of contact with the ground. You do not need to visualize your feet. Simply feel them from the inside. Now, allow your awareness to slowly travel up into your legs, your hips, your pelvic area. Just notice what is there. Is there a sense of openness or a feeling of being clenched and tight? Do not analyze it. Do not ask why. Simply feel. Be with the sensation. Gently, bring your awareness to your stomach and solar plexus. This is an area where we hold so much fear and anxiety. Is there a knot, a fluttering, a sense of emptiness, or a feeling of hardness? Whatever you find, just allow it to be there. Breathe into it, not to force it away, but to offer it your accepting presence. Now, move your attention to your chest and heart space. Is it open and expansive? Or does it feel guarded, heavy, closed off? Can you feel the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat? This is the drum of your life, beating steadily in the present moment. Let your awareness travel up into your throat. This is the center of expression. Is there a lump, a tightness, a feeling that something is stuck? So many of us hold unspoken truths here. Again, just notice. Be the spacious awareness in which this sensation is allowed to exist. Feel your shoulders. Are they relaxed and hanging loosely? Or are they pulled up towards your ears, carrying the weight of the world? Let your breath soften them. Finally, bring your attention to your face, your jaw, the tiny muscles around your eyes. Is there tension here? Can you allow it to soften? Just for this moment. This simple act of scanning your body with loving attention is a revolutionary practice. You are bypassing the deceitful mind and going directly to the source of truth. The body does not want you to analyze it. It wants to be felt. When you bring your awareness to a point of tension and simply stay with it, breathing into it, you are giving that stored emotion the one thing it has always needed: your conscious presence. And in the light of that presence, the frozen energy can begin to thaw, to move, and to release. Think of your body as an exquisite musical instrument, like a finely crafted cello. Your emotions are the music that is played upon it. When you feel joy, love, or peace, these are harmonious frequencies. They resonate through the instrument, and it produces a beautiful, clear tone. Your body feels open, relaxed, and vibrant. But emotions like fear, anger, and resentment are discordant notes. They are harsh vibrations that cause the strings of the instrument to tighten and constrict. If these dissonant notes are played over and over again, the instrument itself becomes strained, knocked out of tune, and can eventually be damaged. This is the energetic root of much physical illness. Healing, then, is the process of retuning your instrument. It is the practice of consciously releasing the stored dissonance of the past by allowing it to be felt in the present, so that your body can return to its natural state of harmony and ease. As you become more attuned to this inner energy field, you start to notice something extraordinary. You realize this aliveness is not strictly contained by the boundary of your skin. You can begin to sense the energy of a room when you walk into it. You can feel the vibe of another person, irrespective of what they are saying. This direct experience is undeniable proof that you are not a solid, isolated object moving through a dead, mechanical world. You are a field of conscious energy, interacting with a vast ocean of other energy fields. This very perception is the doorway to understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself, not as a collection of solid things, but as a magnificent, living symphony of vibration. As your awareness deepens, settling from the frantic surface of the mind into the living stillness of the body, you begin to perceive a truth that changes everything. You have directly experienced your own body not as a solid, inert object, but as a vibrant, tingling field of aliveness. This perception is not a fantasy. It is your personal, undeniable entry point into understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself. The aliveness you feel within the boundary of your skin is a localized expression of a universal principle. Everything is energy. For centuries, the conventional view of the world was that of solid matter. We saw a universe of separate things: a chair, a tree, a person, a planet, all distinct, solid, and governed by predictable, mechanical laws. This worldview created a sense of separation, of isolation. It positioned us as small, fragile beings living in a vast, indifferent, and largely inanimate universe. But the mystics of all ages, and now the pioneers of modern physics, have pointed to a radically different reality. They have revealed that if you were to look at the chair you are sitting on, or the hand in your lap, under a microscope of impossible power, you would not find solidity. You would find atoms. And if you looked into those atoms, you would find not tiny, solid balls, but swirling vortices of energy. And if you could look even deeper into the heart of that energy, you would find nothing. A void, a spacious, intelligent emptiness from which all things arise. This is the foundational secret. The universe is not made of things. It is made of energy, vibration, and information. Everything you perceive as solid is in fact over 9% empty space, with tiny points of energy vibrating at an extraordinary rate. It is the very speed of this vibration that creates the illusion of solidity, just as the fast-spinning blades of a fan create the illusion of a solid disk. The world is not a collection of nouns, it is a symphony of verbs. Everything is dancing, everything is humming, everything is vibrating. This is not a philosophical theory. This is the operating principle of the cosmos, and you are not separate from it. You are a part of the symphony. This leads us to the primary law of the universe, a law even more fundamental than the law of attraction that many have heard about. It is the law of vibration. It states simply that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every cell in your body is a vibrational field. And every vibration has a specific frequency, a rate at which it pulses. Just like the notes on a piano, there are low frequencies and high frequencies. And here is where it becomes deeply personal and profoundly practical. Your dominant frequency determines the reality you experience. Think of the universe as a colossal radio receiver and transmitter. There are an infinite number of stations broadcasting at all times. There is a station for joy, a station for despair, a station for abundance, a station for lack, a station for health, and a station for illness. Most of us go through life listening to whatever station our radio happens to be tuned to, believing that we have no choice. We complain about the depressing music or the static-filled news, not realizing that we are the ones controlling the dial. Your state of being, your dominant emotional state, is your tuning dial. You cannot tune your radio to 98.7 FM and expect to hear the broadcast from 105.3 AM. It is a physical impossibility. In the same way, you cannot maintain a dominant vibration of fear and lack and expect to experience a life of joy and abundance. The universe does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are. It matches your frequency. This is the principle of resonance. You have seen this with tuning forks. If you strike one tuning fork and hold it near another of the exact same frequency, the second fork will begin to vibrate and hum in sympathy without ever being touched. It resonates with the first. Your personal energy field works in precisely the same way. You are a living tuning fork, vibrating at a specific frequency, and you are constantly causing the world around you to resonate with that frequency. The people, the opportunities, the ideas, and the circumstances that are a vibrational match to you are drawn into your experience. Those that are not a match simply cannot find you. They are on a different wavelength. So, the most important question becomes, how do we know what our frequency is, and how do we change it? The answer is beautifully simple. Your emotions are your vibrational indicator. They are your personal, built-in guidance system. When you feel emotions like joy, love, gratitude, peace, or appreciation, it is a sign that you are vibrating at a high frequency. These emotions feel expansive, light, and good. They are in alignment with your true nature. When you feel emotions like fear, anger, jealousy, shame, or despair, it is a sign that you are vibrating at a low frequency. These emotions feel heavy, contracted, and bad. They are a sign that your thinking is out of alignment with who you truly are. The goal is not, as we have learned, to suppress or fear these negative emotions. They are simply messengers, indicators on your dashboard telling you the quality of the energy you are currently broadcasting. If a warning light comes on in your car, you do not cover it with tape. You acknowledge it and use the information to make a change. When you feel a negative emotion, the practice is to first allow it and acknowledge it, as we have learned. But the next step is to consciously choose a thought or an activity that helps you tune up to a higher frequency. This is the art of conscious creation. How do you deliberately raise your vibration? The methods are numerous and profoundly accessible. The single fastest way is through the practice of gratitude. Not as a polite platitude, but as a deep, felt sense. The act of consciously looking for things to be thankful for: the warmth of the sun, the taste of your coffee. The fact that you are breathing immediately shifts your energy from a state of lack to a state of appreciation. Appreciation is one of the highest frequencies you can embody. Engage with beauty. Go for a walk in nature and truly see the intricate design of a leaf. Listen to a piece of music that makes your soul soar. Read poetry that stirs your heart. Beauty bypasses the critical mind and speaks directly to the soul, instantly elevating your frequency. Practice presence. The egoic mind, with its constant chatter of worry and regret, is a generator of low-frequency energy. The simple act of anchoring yourself in the now, as we have practiced, silences this chatter and allows you to return to your natural state of high-frequency peace. Move your body. Stagnant energy leads to low vibration. Dance, walk, stretch, run. The physical movement helps to break up energetic blockages and allows your life force to flow more freely, which is immediately felt as an uplift in your mood. The crucial understanding here is that the universe responds to your state of being, not your fleeting thoughts or desperate pleas. You can repeat affirmations of wealth all day long, but if your dominant feeling state is one of worry and lack, your vibration is broadcasting lack, and the universe, in its perfect impartiality, will obediently send you more circumstances that match that feeling. This is why so many people become disillusioned with the law of attraction. They are trying to think their way to a new reality while still emotionally inhabiting their old one. You must first feel the feeling of the reality you wish to experience. You must become a vibrational match to it. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. With this knowledge, your entire perception of the world transforms. It ceases to be a random, chaotic, and often hostile place. It becomes a perfect, instantaneous, vibrational mirror. The world is constantly showing you a reflection of your own inner state. The people who irritate you are mirroring back an unhealed irritation within you. The recurring financial struggles are mirroring back a deep-seated belief in scarcity. The loving relationships are mirroring back the love and self-worth you have cultivated within yourself. This is not a cause for guilt or self-blame. It is the ultimate tool for empowerment. It means that to change your world, you do not need to struggle with external conditions. The struggle is futile. Instead, you turn inward. You do the only work that matters. You work on your own vibration. You become a guardian of your inner space. You consciously choose thoughts that feel better. You deliberately cultivate feelings of gratitude, love, and peace. You become the broadcasting tower, consciously choosing the signal you send out into the field of infinite potential. When you change your signal, the reflection in the mirror must change. The radio must play a new song. The universe has no choice but to bring you circumstances, people, and experiences that resonate with your new frequency. As you begin to practice this, as you become a conscious creator of your own vibrational state, something magical starts to happen. You start to notice the universe communicating back to you. You will think of a friend you have not spoken to in years, and they will call you that very day. You will have a question, and you will open a book to a random page and find the exact answer. You will be looking for a specific opportunity, and the right person will appear as if from nowhere. These are not mere coincidences. They are the universe winking at you. They are feedback, road signs confirming that you are in alignment, that you are tuned in. This meaningful, intelligent feedback system has a name: synchronicity. And learning to read this secret, sacred language is the next great adventure on your journey of awakening. As you learn to consciously manage your own vibration, tuning your being to the higher frequencies of peace, love, and gratitude, you begin to change the signal you are broadcasting into the universe. And the universe, being a perfect and instantaneous mirror, begins to change the reflection it sends back to you. Your reality begins to reorganize itself around your new state of being. At first, the changes are subtle. Then, you begin to notice something extraordinary, something the rational mind struggles to explain. You start to notice a secret dialogue between your inner world and the outer world. This is the language of synchronicity. In a reality governed by the law of vibration, there are no true accidents. There are no meaningless coincidences. The skeptic, firmly rooted in a mechanical worldview, will dismiss these events as confirmation bias or simple probability. But the awakening soul begins to perceive a deeper, more elegant order weaving its way through the fabric of daily life. The term synchronicity was famously coined by the psychologist Carl Jung to describe a principle of a causal connection events that are connected not by a linear chain of cause and effect, but by their shared meaning in the consciousness of the observer. They are winks from the cosmos, whispers from the universe, confirming that you are seen, heard, and guided. What does this language look like? It is often subtle, personal, and poetic. You may be grappling with a difficult decision, feeling completely lost, and you turn on the radio to hear a song whose lyrics speak directly to your heart, offering the very encouragement you needed. You might be thinking of a friend you haven't seen in a decade, and you turn a corner in a new city and walk directly into them. You may start seeing a recurring sequence of numbers 1111 on the clock, 444 on a license plate, 222 on a receipt appearing with uncanny frequency during a period of intense personal transformation. Or perhaps you have a deep question about your life's path, and you open a book at random, and your eyes fall upon a sentence that provides a moment of breathtaking clarity. These are not random events, they are points of resonance. They are moments where your inner state of being and the outer world vibrate in perfect harmony, creating a meaningful echo. The key is the connection to your inner state. Seeing the number 11 means nothing if you don't attach any significance to it. But when you have just asked the universe for a sign, when you are in a state of questioning or openness, its appearance becomes a powerful and personal message. The universe is not shouting at you. It is leaving you a trail of breadcrumbs, little notes of confirmation on your path. Your job is not to force them, but simply to learn how to pay attention. So how do you cultivate this dialogue? How do you become more attuned to the language of synchronicity? It is not a technique to be mastered, but an inner posture to be embodied. The first and most crucial condition is presence. If your mind is constantly lost in the past or worried about the future, you are blind and deaf to the subtle messages of the now. You cannot read the signposts if you are not looking at the road. By practicing the art of being present, you create the quiet inner space necessary to notice these subtle connections. The second condition is trust and openness. You must be willing to entertain the possibility that you live in an intelligent and responsive universe. If your mind is rigidly closed, convinced that life is merely a series of random, meaningless events, then that is the reality you will experience. Your skepticism acts as a filter, explaining away every potential synchronicity before it can land in your heart with its full meaning. Reality is participatory. Your belief system co-creates your experience. By adopting an attitude of open curiosity, you send a signal to the universe that you are ready to play, that you are listening for its whispers. Third, you must learn to work with intention, but to hold it lightly. When you set a clear intention, for example, I am open to receiving guidance on my next creative project, you are essentially sending out a specific vibrational request. You are programming your awareness to be on the lookout for resonant information. But once the intention is set, you must surrender the outcome. You must let go of how, when, and where the answer will appear. If you obsess over it, you constrict the flow. Your attachment and impatience create a low-frequency vibration of lack, which counteracts the clarity of your intention. set the intention, and then trust. Let life surprise you. Interpreting the messages of synchronicity is an intuitive art, not a rigid science. The meaning is always personal. A dragonfly might be a powerful symbol for you, but mean nothing to someone else. The most important guide to interpretation is the feeling of resonance within your own body. When you land on the right meaning, you will feel it. There will be a click, a subtle inner nod, a feeling of, yes, that's it. It's a truth that lands in your heart, not just an idea that is analyzed by your head. Remember that these signs are rarely literal commands. They are more often encouragements, confirmations, or gentle course corrections. They are the universe saying, yes, you are on the right track, keep going, or pay attention to this. There is something here for you to see. It is important to approach this with a sense of wonder, not superstition. And it is crucial to understand that synchronicity is not always pleasant and validating. It is not always about finding a $20 bill on the street just when you need it. Sometimes, the universe's guidance is designed to show you what you need to heal. If you keep attracting the same type of emotionally unavailable partner, it is a synchronistic pattern pointing to an unhealed wound within you related to self-worth. If you keep finding yourself in situations that trigger your deepest fear of being abandoned, the universe is lovingly, persistently giving you another opportunity to face and integrate that fear. These more challenging synchronicities are perhaps the most profound. They are not punishments, but blessings in disguise. They are signposts pointing not outward toward a material reward, but inward, toward the inner work that still needs to be done. They lead us directly to the doorstep of the parts of ourselves we have denied, repressed, and disowned. They guide us to the unacknowledged darkness, the forgotten fragments of our own psyche. This is what Carl Jung called the shadow self. And learning to turn and face this shadow, to embrace it with courage and compassion, is the next essential, unavoidable step on the path to becoming whole. The path of awakening is not always one of ascending into the light. The synchronicities, those meaningful whispers from the universe, do not always guide you to meadows of peace and joy. Often, they are signposts pointing you toward a locked door within your own psyche. They persistently guide you back to the very things you have spent your entire life trying to avoid, to deny, and to run away from. Behind this door lies the most misunderstood, the most feared, and yet the most vital part of your inner landscape. It is your shadow self. Coined by the great psychologist Carl Jung, the shadow is the container for all the aspects of yourself that you have deemed unacceptable. It is the repository for every impulse, every emotion, and every trait that your family, your culture, and your religion told you was bad. Your anger, your jealousy, your greed, your laziness, your raw sexuality, your vulnerability, all the messy, inconvenient parts of being human were disowned and banished into the darkness of your unconscious mind. But the shadow is not evil. It is simply unowned. And paradoxically, it also contains some of your greatest strengths. Hidden in the darkness is your untamed creativity, your raw power, your righteous anger, and your deepest authenticity qualities that may have been so powerful they were deemed threatening to the world around you, and so you learned to suppress them as well. For years, you have tried to live as a being of pure light. You have constructed a persona, a mask of goodness and spirituality to present to the world. But anything that is disowned does not simply disappear. It festers in the darkness, and it gains power. The unowned shadow does not lie dormant. It actively, and often destructively, runs your life from behind the scenes. Its primary method of operation is projection. When you refuse to see a trait within yourself, you are destined to see it and be tormented by it in everyone around you. The arrogance that infuriates you in your boss is a reflection of your own unacknowledged arrogance, or, perhaps, a disowned confidence. The laziness you despise in a family member mirrors your own repressed desire to rest and be still. The judgmental nature of a friend is a perfect mirror for the harsh inner critic you refuse to confront in yourself. Your shadow is projected outward, and you spend your life fighting a war with mirrors, never realizing you are only fighting yourself. When it is not being projected, the shadow erupts from within. It is the source of self-sabotage. It is the sudden, inexplicable outburst of rage that damages a relationship. It is the bout of deep melancholy that appears on a perfectly sunny day. It is the addictive behavior that promises comfort but delivers only shame. It is the force that trips you up just as you are about to achieve a long-held goal, because success might threaten its familiar, hidden existence. To live without acknowledging the shadow is to live an inauthentic, hollow life. You lack depth. You lack the vitality and groundedness that comes only from being a whole, integrated human being, both light and dark. There is a profound esoteric truth that says a tree cannot grow tall into the heavens unless its roots dig deep into the darkness of the earth. Your spiritual growth, your branches reaching for the light of consciousness, is directly and inseparably linked to your willingness to do the psychological work of digging your roots into the rich, dark, messy soil of your own unconscious. A tree with shallow roots will be toppled by the first strong wind. A spiritual practice that denies the shadow, that seeks only love and light, creates a fragile, brittle persona that will shatter in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Wholeness is not the eradication of darkness. Wholeness is the integration of it. The great secret of this work, the alchemical magic of it, is the discovery that there is gold hidden in the darkness. Within your most rejected traits lies your greatest, untapped power. You must not kill the dragon. You must tame it and harness its fire. Within your repressed anger lies the pure energy required to set powerful boundaries and to speak your truth. Within your fear lies the wisdom of caution and the instinct for self-preservation. Within your greed lies the potent desire that, when consciously directed, can fuel immense creative ambition. Within your sadness lies the capacity for profound empathy and compassion for all living things. The goal of shadow work is not to eliminate these parts of you, but to bring them into the light of your awareness, to befriend them, to understand their needs, and to integrate their energy so that you become the master of it, rather than its unconscious slave. How does one begin this sacred and courageous work? The first step is to notice your projections. Pay ruthless attention to what triggers you emotionally in other people. When you feel a disproportionate surge of anger, irritation, or judgment towards someone, pause. Ask the brave question: what aspect of this person exists within me that I am refusing to see? This is not about condoning their behavior. It is about using your reaction as a mirror to illuminate your own blind spots. The second step is non-judgmental observation. When a shadow emotion arises within you, be it envy, shame, or rage, your lifelong habit is to either act it out impulsively or to repress it instantly. There is a third way. Simply notice it. Envy is here. Feel it as a raw energy in your body without getting lost in the story. The mind is weaving around it. Create a space of conscious, loving awareness around the feeling. You are the sky, and it is a dark cloud. You are not the cloud. The third step is compassionate dialogue. Imagine this shadow part of you as a separate entity. Visualize it, talk to it, ask it what it wants, ask it what it fears, ask it why it feels the need to act this way. You will find it is not a monster. It is usually a very young, frightened part of you, trying to protect you in a distorted, outdated way. Treat it with the compassion you would offer to a lost child, because that is what it is. As you follow the roots of this work deeper and deeper into the soil of your being, you will inevitably discover where the shadow was born. You will find the original moments of pain where you decided that a part of you was unlovable. You will find the child who was shamed for being angry, ignored for being sad, or punished for being exuberant. At the very root of the shadow, we almost always find the wounded inner child. The shadow traits we see in ourselves as adults are often the complex, distorted survival strategies that this child created to cope with an unbearable reality. To truly integrate the shadow, we cannot stop at simply acknowledging our darkness. We must go to its source. We must be willing to meet, to listen to, and to finally heal the wounded child who has been living alone in the darkness for so long. As you courageously follow the roots of your shadow down into the rich, dark soil of your personal history, you inevitably arrive at the source. The shadow, with all its distorted and painful expressions, is not who you are. It is a complex defense mechanism, a suit of armor built by a very small, very frightened, and very brilliant part of you. At the very root of your deepest patterns, your most painful triggers, and your darkest fears, you will find a child. This is your inner child. And the next great step on your journey is not to analyze this child, but to finally turn toward them, to meet them, and to begin the sacred work of healing. The inner child is not a sentimental fantasy. It is a living, neurological reality within you. It is the part of your psyche that holds your original innocence, your capacity for wonder, joy, spontaneous expression, and boundless creativity. It is also the part that holds your earliest and most profound wounds. It remembers every time its needs were not met, every time it was shamed for its feelings, every time it felt unsafe or unloved. It formed its core beliefs about life, love, and its own self-worth in these early formative years. And for most of us, this child has been left alone in the dark for a very long time. You may think you are living your life as a capable adult, but in your most reactive moments, you are not. The intense, irrational fear of public speaking is not an adult fear. It is your inner child, terrified of being shamed or judged, as they once were in a classroom. The desperate neediness and jealousy that can erupt in a romantic relationship is not your adult self. It is your inner child, panicking at the thought of being abandoned again. The crippling procrastination and perfectionism that holds you back is your inner child, convinced that they must be flawless to be worthy of love. Imagine you are driving the car of your life. Your conscious adult self is meant to be at the wheel, but in the back seat sits your wounded inner child. As long as the road is smooth, they may be quiet. But the moment you encounter a situation that even vaguely resembles an old wound, a moment of criticism, a hint of rejection, a feeling of being overlooked, the child panics. They believe the original trauma is happening all over again. In that moment of terror, they scramble forward, grab the steering wheel, and hijack the vehicle. They either slam on the brakes, causing you to freeze, shut down, and retreat, or they swerve wildly across the road, causing you to lash out in anger, create drama, or dissolve into tears. Recognizing who is driving in these moments is the beginning of reclaiming your life. The goal is not to punish or exile this child. The goal is to pull the car over, turn around, and give the child the love, safety, and reassurance they have been crying out for their entire life. Let us do this now. This is a journey of the heart, so I invite you to be as gentle and open as you can. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and take a few slow, deep breaths. With each exhale, let go of the day and allow your awareness to gather within. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine or feel yourself in the most beautiful, safe, and peaceful place you can conceive of. It could be a sunlit forest, a quiet beach at sunset, a cozy, firelit room. This is your inner sanctuary. It is a space where you are completely safe and in control. Take a moment to feel the peace of this place. Now, as your present-day adult self, the wise and compassionate being that you are, I want you to gently set the intention to meet your inner child. In your heart, send out a soft, loving invitation for them to appear in this safe space with you. There is no pressure. They may be hesitant, shy, angry, or sad. They may appear at a specific age you remember or an age you don't. Just be open and allow whatever happens to happen. When the child appears, just look at them. Do not rush to fix them. Just see them, Notice their posture, the look in their eyes, the clothes they are wearing. See the emotion they are carrying. Your only job in this moment is to be a loving, stable presence. Now, from your heart, you are going to offer this child the words they have been waiting a lifetime to hear. You can say them silently, or whisper them aloud. I see you. I am here with you now. You are not alone anymore. Pause and let that land. Then continue. Whatever happened, it was not your fault. You did the best you could. You were just a child. Breathe. You are allowed to feel everything you are feeling. You are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to be sad. All of your feelings are welcome here. And finally, offer the most healing words of all. I love you. I love you exactly as you are, and I will never, ever leave you. In your imagination, if it feels right, slowly move toward the child and give them a gentle, loving embrace. Feel your strong adult arms around their small body. Hold them, reassure them. Let them feel your warmth, your stability, your unconditional love. Tell them that you are the adult now, that you will protect them, and that you will come back to visit them anytime they need you. When you feel ready, gently release the hug. Thank the child for their courage in meeting you, and slowly bring your awareness back to your breath and back into the room. This is not a one-time meditation. This is the beginning of a lifelong, sacred relationship. The goal is to become your own loving parent. It means checking in with this inner child daily. When you feel triggered or upset, ask, what is my little one feeling right now? What do they need from me? Perhaps they need reassurance. Perhaps they need you to set a boundary with someone. Perhaps they just need you to stop what you are doing, place a hand on your heart, and breathe with them for a minute. By consistently offering this inner love and protection, you begin to heal the root of your deepest insecurities. The child no longer needs to desperately seek safety and validation from the outside world, because they are finally getting it from the one person who can truly give it to them, you. As this inner bond strengthens, as the child within you begins to feel truly safe, seen, and loved, something remarkable happens. The intense charge of anger and blame you may have held towards those who hurt you begins to soften. You start to see that they, too, were most likely acting from the pain of their own wounded inner child, passing down trauma from one generation to the next. This does not excuse their actions, but it places them in a new, more compassionate context. From this newfound place of inner safety and understanding, you can finally begin to contemplate the ultimate act of self-liberation, an act that was impossible when the child was still in control. You can begin to explore the true power of forgiveness. As you begin to build a relationship of trust and love with your own inner child, as that wounded part of you starts to feel safe in your compassionate presence, the ground of your being begins to shift. From this newfound place of inner stability, you have the strength to approach one of the most misunderstood and spiritually potent practices on the human journey, the art of true forgiveness. For many, the word itself is a trigger. It brings up feelings of injustice, of being asked to condone the unforgivable, of letting someone who hurt you off the hook. The mind, the ego, will rebel against the very idea. They don't deserve my forgiveness, it will argue, and it may be right. But this is the fundamental misunderstanding that keeps us trapped. True forgiveness has almost nothing to do with the other person. It is not a gift you begrudgingly give to them. It is a profound act of self-love, a radical gift of liberation that you give to yourself. Let us first be clear about what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not condoning. It is not saying, what you did was okay. Harmful actions are never okay. Forgiveness is simply acknowledging that they happened and choosing to release yourself from the toxic energetic bondage of that event. Forgiveness is not necessarily reconciliation. You can forgive someone completely, from the depths of your soul, and still choose, from a place of wisdom and self-respect, to never have that person in your life again. Forgiveness is an internal process of freeing your own heart. Reconciliation is an external negotiation that requires the participation and changed behavior of another. They are not the same. And finally, forgiveness is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate act of personal power. It is the moment you declare that your peace of mind is more important than your grievance, that your future is more valuable than your past, and that you will no longer allow another person's actions to dictate the quality of your inner life. To understand the power of forgiveness, we must first examine the prison of unforgiveness. Holding on to resentment, anger, and blame is like drinking a vial of poison every day and waiting for the other person to die. The poison does not harm them. They may be living their life completely oblivious to your pain. The poison only corrodes you. It infects your present moments with the bitterness of the past. Energetically, unforgiveness is a thick, dark cord that stretches from your energy field to the person or event that wounded you. Every time you replay the story in your mind, every time you feel that surge of indignation or grief, you are sending your own precious life force down that cord. You are keeping the connection alive, allowing the trauma of the past to continuously drain your vitality in the present. You are, in effect, volunteering to be a perpetual victim to a crime that is long over. The original wound may have been inflicted by another, but the act of refusing to forgive is the act of re-wounding yourself over and over again. True forgiveness is the act of taking a pair of spiritual scissors and cutting that energetic cord. It is a definitive statement to the universe. I am no longer available for this suffering. I reclaim my energy. I reclaim my power. I release myself from this bond. The focus shifts entirely away from whether the other person deserves it. That is an irrelevant question. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be at peace. You deserve to live a life that is not defined by the wounds of your past. You are not letting them off the hook. You are taking yourself off the agonizing hook of having to carry the dead weight of hatred. This is not a simple intellectual exercise. You cannot force forgiveness with your mind. It is a process of the heart, one that must be approached with honesty and compassion for yourself. The path often begins with allowing yourself to fully feel the emotions you may have repressed. You must allow the anger. Anger is a clean, powerful energy. It is the part of you that recognizes an injustice was done, that a boundary was violated. Feel its fire not by lashing out, but by acknowledging its presence within you. Beneath the anger, you will almost always find a deep well of grief for the innocence that was lost, for the pain that was endured. You must allow yourself to cry the tears that need to be cried. You cannot release what you have not first allowed yourself to fully feel. Once the emotional charge has been honored and felt, a space begins to open. In that space, it can be helpful, though not essential, to cultivate a wider perspective. As you have seen with your own inner child, hurt people hurt people. The person who wounded you was almost certainly acting from the depths of their own unconscious pain, their own unhealed trauma, their own inner child's desperate and distorted strategies. To see this is not to excuse their behavior. It is to depersonalize it. It shifts the story from, "They did this to me," to, "This was the action of a wounded, unconscious human being." This shift can loosen the grip of the personal grievance, making it easier to let go. The final step is a conscious choice. It is a decision made in the quiet of your own heart. You can create a small ritual for yourself. You might write a long letter to the person, pouring out all your pain and anger onto the page, and then safely burn it, visualizing the energetic cord being severed in the flames. You might go to a quiet place in nature and speak your forgiveness aloud to the wind, releasing it from your being. You might simply close your eyes, visualize the cord connecting you to that person or event, and see yourself cutting it with a sword of brilliant, loving light, watching as your end of the cord returns to your heart, healed and whole. And in this process, you will discover that the most important person you need to forgive is often yourself. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you made when you didn't know better. Forgive yourself for not being stronger, for not leaving sooner, for not speaking up. Forgive yourself for betraying your own heart out of fear. Apply the same radical compassion to yourself that you are learning to apply to others. You, too, were doing the best you could with the consciousness you had at the time. When the work of forgiveness is truly done, a profound silence descends. The space within you that was once occupied by heavy, churning stories of grievance becomes quiet, open, and vast. You have reclaimed an immense amount of energy that was previously locked in the past. This new inner spaciousness can feel unfamiliar, even startling at first. Do not be afraid of it. This is not the emptiness of lack. It is the emptiness of pure potential. This is the fertile void. Now that the slate has been wiped clean, now that you are no longer defined by the chains of your past, you are finally free to create something entirely new. After the courageous and heart-opening work of forgiveness, a new quality of being begins to emerge within you. The dense, heavy stories of the past, the energetic chains of grievance and resentment have been dissolved. In their place, there is a vastness, a quiet, a profound, and unfamiliar stillness. The ego, the part of you that thrives on problems, drama, and the noise of the mind, may initially interpret this inner space as emptiness, as boredom, or even as a lack of identity. It may become anxious, desperate to fill the silence with new thoughts, new worries, new goals. It is terrified of this space, for in this vast, silent nothingness, the ego, which is a collection of things, memories, beliefs, identity essences, its own dissolution. Do not be afraid of this space. Do not rush to fill it. This is not the void of lack. This is the fertile void. It is the womb of all creation, the silent, unmanifest field of pure potential from which everything in the universe is born. Before the Big Bang, there was this silent, pregnant emptiness. Before the symphony, there is the silence of the concert hall. Before the masterpiece, there is the blank canvas. Mystics have called it the Tao, the Absolute, the Unborn. Physicists might call it the quantum field or the zero-point field. It is the no-thingness that contains the potential for everythingness. You have cleared your inner ground. You have pulled the weeds of the past. Now, for the first time, you are standing on the sacred, fertile ground of pure potential, ready to create not from memory, but from imagination, not from lack, but from wholeness. To understand the power of creating from this space, we must first understand how we have been creating up until now. Most of us have been trying to paint a new masterpiece on a canvas that is already cluttered and dirty. Our minds, our inner canvases, are covered with the scribbles of past beliefs, the stains of old fears, the smudges of societal conditioning, and the frantic outlines of our anxious plans. Upon this chaotic surface, we try to paint a picture of a joyful, peaceful, and abundant life. The result is inevitably muddy, confused, and disappointing. We then conclude that we are not good artists, that creating the life we want is too difficult, or that we are simply not worthy of it. This leads to the dominant mode of creation in our culture: forceful, ego-driven effort. We are taught to hustle, to grind, to make it happen. We create from a place of willpower, of control, of tense, anxious striving. This approach is born from the belief that the universe is indifferent or even hostile, and that we must impose our will upon it through sheer force. It is like trying to make a flower grow by pulling on its petals. It is like trying to force a river to flow uphill. This frantic doing, this constant trying, actually creates immense resistance. It comes from a vibration of lack, the belief that what we want is not here, and we must struggle to get it. This energy of struggle repels the very thing we are seeking. It is the ego's way of creation, and it is exhausting, inefficient, and ultimately deeply unsatisfying. There is another way. It is the way of the mystic, the master artist, the true genius. It is the way of creating from the fertile void. This is not creation through forceful doing. but through inspired being. It is an act of allowing, of receiving, of co-creation with the intelligent universe. If you study the lives of the greatest creators, they will often report that their most brilliant breakthroughs did not come when they were trying the hardest. They came in moments of rest, of play, of surrender. They came in a dream, on a walk in the woods, or in the shower. Moments when the striving, analytical mind was quiet. In those moments of inner stillness, they became open channels, and the idea, the solution, the melody, downloaded itself into their consciousness from the vast field of pure potential. This form of divine creation follows a simple, yet profoundly different, three-step rhythm: intention, incubation, and inspired action. The first step is intention. This is the act of planting a seed into the fertile ground of the void. From a state of quiet presence, you ask your heart, what is it that I truly wish to create or experience? The key is clarity and feeling. You are not creating a rigid, detailed plan. You are capturing the energetic essence, the feeling state of your desire. Perhaps the desire is for creative freedom, for deep connection, for vibrant health, for a sense of peace. You hold this feeling in your heart. You see it, you feel it, you embody it for a moment, and then, with love and trust, you plant this seed of intention into the silence. The second, and most crucial, step is incubation. This is the great surrender. Once the seed is planted, you let it go completely. You release all attachment to the outcome. You completely surrender the how, the when, and the where to the wisdom of the universe. This is the step the ego cannot stand. It wants to dig up the seed every 5 minutes to see if it's growing. It wants to control the process. But the farmer knows that the seed needs the dark, silent, undisturbed soil to germinate. This is your period of non-doing. You do not sit around waiting anxiously. You simply go about your life, but with a new emphasis on maintaining a state of presence, trust, and openness. You tend to the soil of your being by cultivating high-frequency states like gratitude and joy, trusting that the seed is germinating in the unseen realm. The third step is inspired action. As you rest in this state of open, trusting awareness, an impulse will arise from the stillness. It will not be a frantic should from the ego. It will be a gentle, intuitive nudge, a quiet what if. It might be a sudden urge to call a specific person, to visit a certain place, to read a particular book, or a brilliant creative idea that seems to appear from nowhere. This is the sprout breaking through the soil. This is inspired action. It feels different from forceful effort. It feels light, joyful, magnetic, and effortless. There is no procrastination with inspired action, because you are pulled toward it by a deep sense of excitement and rightness. You are not pushing the river. You are joyfully flowing with its current. When you act on these inspirations, you will find that synchronicities abound and doors open in miraculous ways. How then do you access this fertile void in your daily life amidst the noise and demands of the world? You must consciously create pockets of stillness and non-doing. Meditation is the most direct practice. The simple act of sitting in silence, focusing on your breath, and allowing thoughts to come and go without attachment is a direct training in resting in the void. You are becoming comfortable in the silent space between your thoughts, the very birthplace of creation. Spend time in nature. Nature is the fertile void made manifest. A forest does not try to grow, it simply grows. A river does not try to flow, it flows. When you walk among ancient trees or sit by the ocean, the frantic energy of the ego is effortlessly calmed. You entrain with the deep, silent, creative rhythm of the earth itself, and your own inner channel begins to clear. Engage in creative play. Do something for the sheer joy of doing it, with no attachment to the outcome. Paint with abandon, dance in your living room, play an instrument, write in a journal with no intention of anyone ever reading it. This state of flow, where time seems to disappear and your sense of a separate self dissolves, is a direct experience of channeling energy from the creative void. Learn to embrace boredom. Our culture has taught us that boredom is a problem to be solved instantly with distraction with our phones, with television, with constant activity. But boredom is not a void of lack, it is a gateway. When you have the courage to sit through the initial discomfort of being bored, without reaching for a distraction, you give your deeper, more creative impulses the space they need to surface. Some of your best ideas will arise from the ashes of boredom. This new way of being marks a fundamental shift in your identity. You cease to be a frantic doer, trying to force your will upon the world. You become a centered being, a conscious channel through whom a greater creative intelligence can flow. You understand that your primary creative act is to maintain the quality of your own consciousness, your own state of being. The actions that flow from that state are secondary. They are the natural, effortless effects of a well-tended inner cause. This realization that your being precedes your doing, that your inner state is the magnet for your outer reality, is the very essence of true manifestation. To create something in the world, you must first become it in the silent, fertile void of your own consciousness. From the silent, fertile ground of the void, we have learned that true creation flows not from frantic effort, but from a state of receptive being. Now, we take the next step. We move from being a passive receiver of inspiration to becoming a conscious, deliberate director of our creative power. We learn not only to access the void, but to impress upon it a specific reality of our own choosing. This is the art and science of true manifestation, and its secret is a profound inversion of everything you have been taught about desire. The conventional model of creation begins with wanting. You identify something you do not have, and you focus on your desire for it. But the very act of wanting is a powerful vibrational statement to the universe. It is a declaration of absence. To want something is to affirm in that very moment that you lack it. And the universe, in its perfect, impartial mirroring, can only respond to your dominant vibration. A state of wanting can only attract more experiences of wanting. It is a self-perpetuating cycle of lack. To escape this trap, you must stop trying to get what you want, and you must begin to be the person who already has it. This is the great secret. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. Creation is not a process of acquisition from the outside in. It is a process of embodiment from the inside out. The universe does not respond to your words, your pleas, or even your thoughts, if they are not aligned with your dominant feeling state. The subconscious mind, the creative medium of all life, understands only one language, the language of feeling. Feeling is the bridge between the unseen world of spirit and the seen world of form. Therefore, the key to manifestation is to assume the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. Do not ask what you need to do to get your desire. Ask what it would feel like if it were already your present reality. And this is a subtle art. It is not the feeling of ecstatic, surprised excitement you might have in the first moment of receiving it. It is the quiet, natural, and settled feeling of it being your normal state of being. If you desire vibrant health, what is the calm, easy feeling of living in a body that is strong and full of energy? If you desire financial security, what is the feeling of relief, of freedom, of peace that comes with knowing all your needs are met? If you desire a loving partnership, what is the feeling of contentment, of companionship, of being deeply seen and understood? This feeling, this quiet inner state, is the creative seed. Your ability to capture and inhabit this feeling is the measure of your creative power. Imagine you wish to grow an apple tree. You cannot simply stand in a field and want apples. You must embody the state of a gardener who knows that apples are the inevitable result of their work. The gardener does not anxiously hope for apples. The gardener prepares the soil, plants the seed, and tends to the young tree. acting from the assumption that the apples will come, the feeling of being a gardener secure in the process, trusting in the laws of nature's, the state that ultimately produces the fruit. You must become the gardener of your reality. You must embody the feeling of your wish fulfilled now, and then allow the world of form to rearrange itself to match your new inner state. The workshop where this inner reality is forged is your own magnificent imagination. Your imagination is not a tool for idle daydreaming or childish fantasy. It is the very studio of God. It is the one and only creative power. What you create in your imagination, if you persist in it with faith and feeling, must become an objective fact in your world. The most potent time to use this workshop is in the state just before sleep. This is what the great mystical teacher Neville Goddard called the state akin to sleep, or SATS. Here is how you enter this creative state. As you lie in your bed, preparing for sleep, your body becomes relaxed and your mind grows drowsy. This is a powerful, hypnotic state where the loud, analytical conscious mind begins to quiet down, and the gateway to your vast, receptive subconscious mind swings wide open. In this state, your subconscious is highly suggestible, like fertile soil ready to receive a seed. Before entering this state, you must decide on a short, simple scene which implies that your desire has already been fulfilled. The key is to create a scene that takes place after your wish has been realized. If you desire a promotion, the scene is not you getting the news. The scene is a friend shaking your hand and saying, "Congratulations on your new role." If you desire to be healed, the scene is not a medical procedure. The scene is you doing something you could not do before, like running up a flight of stairs with ease. The scene must be short, so you can repeat it easily without effort. Now, in the state akin to sleep, you begin to loop this short scene in your imagination. But you are not just watching it like a movie. You must engage all of your spiritual senses. You are in the scene. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you touch? Most importantly, what do you feel? Feel the reality of it. Feel the quiet joy, the profound relief, the naturalness of it. You repeat this short, feeling-toned scene over and over again, like a lullaby, until it takes on the vivid tones of reality. You then drift off to sleep while immersed in this feeling. What you have done is successfully impressed your subconscious mind with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Your subconscious accepts this impression as an existing fact, and because its function is to objectify whatever is impressed upon it, it immediately begins to work, intelligently and mysteriously, to move you through a series of events and actions that will ultimately lead to the physical manifestation of the reality you experienced in your imagination. This nighttime practice is then supported by a daytime practice, living in the end. During your waking hours, you do your best to maintain the inner mood of the person you have become. You think from your wish fulfilled, not of it. When a thought about your desire arises, instead of thinking, "I really hope I get it," you gently shift your thought to, "Isn't it wonderful that it is done?" You carry yourself with the quiet confidence, the inner calm of the person who already possesses what they desire. Your moods, your conversations, and your reactions to daily events should all be informed by this new, wonderful assumption. As you practice this art of assuming and being, as you witness your inner world consistently and faithfully construct your outer world, a profound shift in your identity occurs. You realize you are not a small, separate creature begging a distant God for favors. You are not a powerless victim of circumstance. You realize that your own consciousness is the one and only creative reality. This power, this connection, proves that you are not an isolated being. You are fundamentally interwoven with the entire fabric of existence. And this leads to the next great question. If my consciousness shapes my reality, then where do I end and the rest of the universe begin? The very illusion of being a separate self begins to dissolve. As you continue to practice the art of conscious creation, feeling your inner states of being objectify themselves as the conditions of your life. A profound and startling question begins to emerge. If your consciousness is the one and only reality, if your inner world and outer world are so inextricably linked, then where, precisely, does the boundary lie? Where do you end, and where does the rest of the universe begin? The answer is that there is no boundary. The feeling of being a separate self, a lonely ego encapsulated in a bag of skin, is the primary and most convincing illusion of the human experience. And to awaken from this illusion is to take the final leap into true freedom and peace. For your entire life, you have operated under the assumption that you are an isolated individual. You are a name, a body, a personality, a history. You are in here, and the rest of the world is out there. This sense of separation is the root of all fear. For what is separate can be threatened, it can be lonely, it can be destroyed. It is the root of all conflict. For what is separate can be in competition with another separate being for resources, for love, for recognition. But this feeling of separation is a learned construct. A baby in its first few months has no firm sense of being a separate entity. It is only through language, the introduction of me and mine, and through social conditioning that the idea of a separate self is slowly built and fortified. It is, as Albert Einstein called it, an optical delusion of our consciousness. The most ancient wisdom traditions have used a simple and powerful metaphor to point to the truth of our existence. Imagine that the entire universe, all of consciousness, all of what we might call God or Source, is one vast, infinite ocean. It is one unified body of water, indivisible and eternal. Now, on the surface of this ocean, a countless multitude of waves arise. Each wave has a unique form. Some are large, some are small, some are gentle and rolling, some are powerful and crashing. Each wave has a unique journey, a unique lifespan. It is born from the ocean, it travels for a time, and it dissolves back into the ocean. You are one of these waves. Your personality, your body, your life story, this is the temporary form of your wave. Looking out from the perspective of the wave, you see billions of other waves, and you believe them to be separate from you. You compare your size, your strength, your beauty to theirs. You might fear being crashed into by a larger wave, or you might take pride in being taller than the waves around you. This is the egoic state, the dream of separation. The spiritual awakening is the moment the wave realizes its own true nature. It realizes that while its form is temporary and distinct, its essence is, and always has been, the water of the entire ocean. It is not in the ocean, it is the ocean, expressing itself for a time as a wave. In that realization, all fear vanishes. How can one wave truly harm another when they are both expressions of the same body of water? And what the wave calls death is no longer an end, but a joyful returning, a dissolution of a temporary form back into the boundless, eternal source of its own being. This is not just a beautiful poetic idea, it is the central truth of existence, and you can find evidence for it everywhere in your own experience. Consider the nature of true empathy and compassion. When you see another being suffer, why do you feel a pang in your own heart? It is not merely pity, which is a feeling of a separate me, feeling sorry for a separate you. True compassion is the cellular recognition of oneness. You feel their pain because, on the deepest level of being, there is no separation between you and them. Their suffering is a ripple in the one ocean of consciousness that you both share. This is why every major religion and spiritual path in history has independently discovered a version of the Golden Rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is not just a moral guideline to keep society in order. It is a statement of metaphysical fact. What you do to another, you are literally doing to another aspect of yourself. The energy you project toward another being, be it love or hatred, kindness or cruel ties, an energy you are introducing into the unified field of which you are an inseparable part. It inevitably defines the quality of the ocean in which you yourself must swim. Think of the moments in your own life where your sense of a separate self has dissolved. Perhaps it was in a moment of deep creative flow, where you disappeared, and there was only the act of painting, writing, or playing music. Perhaps it was in the throes of profound love, where the boundary between you and your beloved seemed to melt away. Perhaps it was standing on a mountaintop, so awestruck by the vastness of the vista that your small, personal self was forgotten, and there was only a sense of profound, silent unity with all of life. These moments are not emotional highs or psychological tricks. They are moments of clarity. They are glimpses through the veil of illusion into the way things truly are. When this understanding moves from being an intellectual concept to a lived, felt reality, your entire way of being in the world is transformed. The desperate need for personal recognition and validation begins to fade. How can you be jealous of another's success when you realize their success is a victory for the whole, and therefore a victory for you? The very foundation of conflict and competition crumbles. Love ceases to be a transactional emotion you give to a select few, and it becomes a state of being, the natural resonance of recognizing your own self in the eyes of all you meet. Your actions become naturally more graceful and harmonious, because you understand that to harm any part of the interconnected web of life, be it another person, an animal, or the planet itself, is ultimately to harm yourself. This profound realization of oneness provides the essential context for understanding one of the most widely known, yet frequently misinterpreted, spiritual laws, the law of karma. The conventional understanding of karma is that of a cosmic system of reward and punishment, meted out to a separate you for your good or bad deeds. But as we have seen, the premise of a separate you is the illusion. Therefore, this model of karma must also be incomplete. Karma is not a law that is being imposed upon you from the outside. Karma is the natural, impersonal, and elegant law of cause and effect within a completely unified field. The action of the wave, the cause, does not result in a reward or punishment sent back to the wave. The action of the wave instantly and intrinsically alters the vibrational state of the entire ocean, the effect, which in turn defines the reality that the wave experiences in the next moment. What you put out is not coming back to you. It is simply reconfiguring the field that you are. And understanding this transforms karma from a source of fear into a powerful tool for conscious, responsible creation. Having realized your true nature as an inseparable part of a single, unified consciousness, you are now ready to re-examine one of the most powerful and widely misunderstood laws of that unified field, the law of karma. For many, the word karma is heavy with a sense of dread. It conjures images of a cosmic courtroom, a divine accountant keeping a detailed ledger of your rights and wrongs, and the looming threat of punishment for past misdeeds, perhaps from lifetimes ago. This interpretation is born of the ego, the separate self. The ego, living in a world of duality and separation, can only understand justice in terms of reward and punishment. But from the perspective of oneness, this model collapses. If there is only one self, then who, precisely, is punishing whom? To understand karma correctly, you must first erase the primitive ideas of cosmic retribution. The universe is not a judge, and you are not on trial. Karma is not a moral law. It is a fundamental, impersonal, and perfectly elegant law of physics applied to the realm of consciousness. The literal Sanskrit meaning of the word karma is simply action or deed. The law of karma is the law of action and consequence. It is the spiritual equivalent of Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. It is not a punishment. It is a feedback mechanism. Imagine you touch a hot stove. Your hand is burned. The fire is not punishing you. It does not have a moral opinion about you. It is not judging you as bad for touching it. The fire is simply being what it is, and the burn is the natural, immediate, and impersonal consequence of your action. The burn is a teacher. It teaches you through direct experience about the nature of heat. In exactly the same way, Karma is the fire of the universe. It is a neutral teacher, showing you the nature of the energy you are putting out into the world. Every action you take, and this includes every thought you think, every word you speak, and every physical deed you perform as a cause. It is a packet of energy and intention that you introduce into the unified field. The consequence, or the karmic result, is the unavoidable ripple that this action creates in the fabric of the field. It is not a punishment sent back to you from an external source. It is the new shape of the reality around you that you yourself have just created. If you throw a stone into a perfectly still pond, the ripples are not a punishment for throwing the stone. They are the natural consequence. You must then experience the pond as a rippling pond, because that is the environment your action created. If you consistently act with kindness, compassion, and generosity, you are introducing a high-frequency vibration into your corner of the unified field. The consequence is not that you will be rewarded with a prize from heaven. The consequence is that you will begin to live in a world that resonates with kindness and compassion. You will attract kind people. You will be met with generosity, and your environment will feel supportive and loving. You have simply created a kind reality for yourself to inhabit. Conversely, if you act from a place of anger, deceit, or greed, you introduce these low-frequency vibrations into your field. The consequence is not a lightning bolt of cosmic punishment. The consequence is that you will begin to live in a world colored by anger and suspicion. You will attract untrustworthy people. You will encounter frustrating obstacles, and your environment will feel hostile and unsafe. You have simply created a hostile reality for yourself to inhabit. Karma is the universe allowing you to experience the direct result of your own energy. This transforms our understanding of life entirely. The universe is not a courtroom, it is a schoolroom. We are not cosmic prisoners serving out a sentence for past crimes. We are souls engaged in a curriculum of learning, designed for our own ultimate awakening. Karma is the curriculum. Its sole purpose is to facilitate the soul's evolution by bringing us the exact experiences we need in order to learn the lessons we have not yet mastered. The universe is an infinitely patient and compassionate teacher. It knows that we learn best, not through lectures, but through direct experience. If your soul's curriculum includes the lesson of self-worth, karma will bring you experiences of being overlooked or undervalued until you finally learn to source your worth from within. If you need to learn compassion, karma will bring you into contact with suffering until your heart finally breaks open. If you need to learn to set healthy boundaries, karma will bring you people who will trespass upon your energy until you finally gather the strength to say no with love and finality. This is why negative patterns often repeat in our lives. A person may go through a series of relationships with the exact same type of partner or face the same financial struggle over and over again. This is not a sign that they are cursed or unlucky. It is simply the curriculum repeating itself. If you fail the test, you do not get punished. You just have to take the class again. The universe will lovingly present you with the same lesson in a different form until you finally choose to respond, not with your old, unconscious reaction, but with a new, conscious response. The moment you meet a recurring karmic situation with presence, wisdom, and a different choice, the lesson is learned, the cycle is broken. In that moment of conscious response, the energetic debt is cleared, and you have graduated from that particular class. You do not resolve karma by trying to escape it, deny it, or bargain with it. You resolve karma by courageously facing it, embracing the lesson it contains, and choosing a higher path. This is why practices like forgiveness are so powerful. Forgiveness of yourself and others is a karmic accelerator. It neutralizes the dense, negative energy of a past action with the high-frequency energy of compassion, effectively balancing the scales and freeing you from the need to endlessly repeat the painful lesson. As you begin to see your life, not as a series of random events, but as a perfect and purposeful karmic curriculum, a natural question arises. If this is a school, then what am I here to learn? What is my purpose? The egoic mind immediately seeks a grand answer. It wants to know its great karmic destiny, the magnificent role it is meant to do in the world. It looks for a title, a mission, a monumental task to perform. But the awakened perspective, rooted in the stillness of being, understands purpose in a radically different way. It is not about a great deed to be accomplished in the future. The purpose of the entire curriculum, the reason for the school itself, is something far more simple, far more immediate, and infinitely more profound. As you begin to view your life through the lens of karma, not as a system of punishment, but as a perfect, tailor-made curriculum for the evolution of your soul, an inevitable question arises. What then is my purpose? If I am here to learn, what is the ultimate lesson I am meant to master? What am I supposed to do? This question has launched 1,000 spiritual quests. It is the driving force behind countless careers, relationships, and life decisions. And for most, it is a source of immense pressure, anxiety, and a persistent feeling of not quite measuring up. The egoic mind, the separate self, hears the question of purpose and immediately looks to the future. It believes that purpose is a destination to be reached, a specific role to be attained, a grand task to be accomplished that will finally bestow meaning upon your life. It thinks purpose is becoming a famous artist, a healer who saves lives, a leader who changes the world, or a parent who raises a perfect family. In this view, purpose is always out there, somewhere in the future. And this belief, this constant searching for a future state of fulfillment, is a subtle and powerful trap. It renders the present moment, the only moment you ever truly have, as merely a stepping stone, an incomplete means to a future end. It keeps you in a perpetual state of waiting to live, believing that your real life will begin only when you finally discover and achieve this special purpose. Today, we are going to dismantle that burdensome belief. The answer to the question, "What is my purpose?" is at once simpler, more profound, and more immediately accessible than your mind can possibly imagine. The key is to understand the distinction between your primary purpose and your secondary purpose. Your secondary purpose is what you do in the world. It is your career, your family life, your creative projects, your role in your community. These roles are important, and they change throughout the different seasons of your life. This is what people are usually referring to when they anxiously search for their purpose. But this is not your true purpose. It is secondary. Your primary purpose is universal. It is unchanging, and it is available to you in every single moment, regardless of your external circumstances. Your primary purpose is to be a conduit for awakened consciousness in this dimension. It is to bring the quality of presence into this world of form. It is to be the stillness beneath the chaos, the awareness that is noticing the thought, the love that is holding the pain. Your primary purpose is not something you have to find in the future. It can only be fulfilled right now. Consider the sun. What is the purpose of the sun? Is it to warm the planets? Is it to grow the crops? Is it to create beautiful sunsets? These are all things that the sun does, but they are not its purpose. The purpose of the sun is simply to be the sun. Its purpose is to shine. In the simple, magnificent act of being itself, of shining its light and heat unconditionally, all of its secondary functions are fulfilled effortlessly and naturally. You are like the sun. Your primary purpose is not to achieve a specific outcome. Your primary purpose is to shine the light of your own consciousness, to be fully, authentically, and presently yourself in this very moment. When you make this your priority, the pressure to find your purpose dissolves completely, and a profound sense of peace enters your life. You realize that you can fulfill your ultimate life's purpose while washing the dishes. How? By not being lost in your mind, thinking about what you need to do next. Instead, you are fully present with the act of washing dishes. You feel the warmth of the water on your hands. You see the iridescent beauty of the soap bubbles. You hear the clink of the plates. In that moment of total presence, you are a vessel for awakened consciousness. You are shining. You are fulfilling your primary purpose. You can fulfill your purpose while listening to another person. Instead of listening with the intent to reply, formulating your own thoughts while they are still speaking, you give them the rare and sacred gift of your total, empty presence. You become a space of non-judgmental awareness in which they can be truly heard. In that moment, you are a portal for love and consciousness to enter the world. You are fulfilling your primary purpose. You can fulfill your purpose while walking down the street. Instead of being a mind trapped in a body, rushing from point A to point B, you inhabit your body fully. You feel your feet making contact with the earth. You feel the air on your skin. You notice the light, the sounds, the smells of your environment without the need to label or judge them. You are an awakened sensorium, a point of consciousness experiencing the world directly. You are fulfilling your primary purpose. When you align with this understanding, the quality of your secondary life, your doing, is transformed. It is no longer driven by anxiety and the need to find meaning. It becomes infused with the meaning that you are bringing to it. Your work, whatever it may be, becomes a meditation. Your relationships become opportunities for presence. Your entire life becomes your spiritual practice. You no longer have to anxiously search for your secondary purpose, because when you are living in a state of alignment with your primary purpose, your secondary purpose finds you. By being present, you become aligned with the intelligent flow of the universe. Synchronicity becomes your guide. In a moment of stillness, an inspired idea for a project will arise. You will meet the right person at the right time. An opportunity will appear that feels joyful and right. Your secondary purpose will unfold naturally, not from a place of desperate seeking, but from a place of inspired, intuitive action. This shift from seeking purpose in the future to finding it in the present moment has a profound effect on how we experience the highest of all frequencies: love. The ego's search for purpose is transactional. It is always seeking to get something from the world: meaning, validation, importance. This mirrors the ego's approach to love, which is also transactional. What can this person do for me? How can they make me feel whole? But when your purpose is simply to be a vessel for presence, you are no longer trying to get anything from the world. Your cup is already full. You are now in a state of overflow. You are radiating the light of consciousness outward. And this state of unconditional radiation, of giving your presence to the world without needing anything in return, is intrinsically linked to the highest form of love. Love ceases to be something you seek and becomes the very quality of the consciousness that you are. It transforms from an emotion into a state of being. As you learn to find your true purpose not in a future achievement, but in the simple, profound act of inhabiting the present moment, a new quality of energy begins to radiate from the core of your being. You cease to be a seeker, desperately trying to get meaning from the world, and you become a giver, effortlessly bringing meaning and presence to the world. This state of unconditional, radiant presence is inextricably linked with the highest and most powerful frequency in the universe. It is the frequency of love. And now, we must redefine love, to rescue it from the clutches of the ego and restore it to its rightful place as the very essence of your awakened state of being. For most of us, our understanding of love has been deeply conditioned by songs, by movies, and by the painful longings of the separate self. We think of love as a volatile, fleeting emotion that we fall into and fall out of. We think of it as an attachment to a specific person who makes us feel good, who completes us, who validates our existence. The ego's version of love, which is the only version most people ever know, is transactional and conditional. When the ego says, "I love you," there is often an unspoken subtext. It might mean, "I need you to make me happy." It might mean, "I want to possess you, for your beauty or your status makes my sense of self feel more valuable." It might mean, "I love the way you make me feel about myself, and I am afraid of losing that feeling." It might mean, I am giving you my love, but I expect to receive an equal or greater amount of love and validation in return. This is not love. It is a form of bartering. It is a strategy of the ego to fortify its sense of self and to alleviate its own deep-seated fear of being alone and incomplete. This is why egoic love is always a roller coaster of pleasure and pain. The intense pleasure of getting the love you want is always shadowed by the intense fear of losing it. This fear is the source of all jealousy, possessiveness, control, and manipulation in relationships. The love that the ego gives, it can, and often does, take away the moment the other person ceases to fulfill its needs or meet its expectations. It is a love that comes from a place of deep inner lack, a black hole of neediness that no other person can ever truly fill. True love, the love that is your very nature, is something entirely different. It is not an emotion that comes and goes. It is a state of being. It is not something you get from another. It is something that emanates from within you when you have removed the barriers to its expression. The greatest of these barriers is the illusion of separation. Consider the sun. The sun does not choose which flowers to shine upon. It does not withhold its warmth from the creatures it deems unworthy. It does not shine more brightly on the days it receives praise and dim its light on the days it is ignored. The sun simply shines. It radiates its essential nature, unconditionally, to everything within its reach. It gives of itself completely, without asking for anything in return. This is a perfect metaphor for love as a state of being. It is a radiant, unconditional outflowing of your own inner light, your own conscious presence. It is not directed at one person to the exclusion of others. It is a quality of awareness that you bring to everyone and everything, the person you are in a relationship with, the stranger you pass on the street, the tree outside your window, the very ground beneath your feet. Where does this love come from? It arises from the profound, cellular recognition of oneness. It is the joy of your own consciousness, recognizing itself in another form. When you look into the eyes of another person, past their personality, past their history, past their ego, you can learn to see the same silent, aware presence that is looking out from behind your own eyes. You see the same light, the same I am, dressed in a different costume. In that moment of seeing, there is love. When you sit in a quiet forest, you can feel the same deep, still aliveness in the trees that you feel in your own body. In that moment of feeling, there is love. Love, in its purest form, is the universe experiencing the joy of its own unity through your open heart. The tragedy of the human condition is that we are all born as this love, but we spend our lives seeking it outside of ourselves. We are taught that love is something we must find, earn, or prove ourselves worthy of. We search for the one person who will finally give us the love we crave, believing they hold the key to our happiness. This places an impossible and unfair burden on our partners, our friends, and our family. It sets us up for a life of disappointment, because no finite human being can fill the infinite void of a person who is disconnected from their own source. The most liberating truth you will ever realize is this: you already have the love you are looking for. You are the love you are looking for. It is the very substance of your being, the ground of your consciousness. The work of awakening is not to go out and find love, but to turn inward and courageously remove all the barriers you have built against it. Every grievance you hold, every judgment you make, every fear you cling to, every belief you have in your own inadequacy, these are the walls that block the radiation of the love that you are. Forgiveness, as we have seen, is the act of dismantling these walls. Presence is the act of abiding in the love that is revealed when the walls come down. Imagine your heart as a cup. If your cup is empty, you go through the world as a beggar, asking everyone you meet to pour a few drops of their love into your cup. You are in a constant state of need. But the spiritual path teaches you how to find the infinite spring of love that exists within your own being. Through meditation, through presence, through connecting with your inner body, you learn to fill your own cup from this inexhaustible inner source. You fill it until it is overflowing. Now, when you enter into a relationship, you are not coming to get something. You are coming with an overflowing cup, with love to share freely. Your happiness is no longer dependent on the other person's actions, because you are sourcing it from within. A relationship then becomes a joyful celebration of two whole beings, two full cups, sharing their abundance, rather than a desperate codependent clinging of two empty cups, each trying to drain the other. How do we practice this? How do we live as love? The foundation is presence. To offer another being your complete, undivided, non-judgmental attention is one of the purest acts of love. In a world of distraction, the gift of your presence is the most valuable thing you can give. You become a sacred space in which another can be fully themselves. You practice by going inward. Sit in silence and feel the aliveness in your hands, your chest, your entire body. This tangible feeling of life energy is love in its most primal form. Rest in that feeling. Let it fill you. You practice through what is known as metta, or loving-kindness meditation. It is the conscious art of radiating love like the sun. You begin by generating a feeling of warmth and kindness for yourself, repeating silently, "May I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be free from suffering." Once you feel this self-love, you expand the circle. You bring a loved one to mind and radiate the same wishes to them. May you be happy, may you be peaceful. Then, you expand further to a neutral person, like someone you see at a shop. Then, most powerfully, you expand the circle to include a difficult person in your life, radiating the same unconditional wishes for their happiness and peace. Finally, you expand your heart to encompass all living beings on the planet, shining your love outward in all directions without exception. This is not just a mental exercise. It is a powerful vibrational shifting, a retuning of your entire being to the frequency of unconditional love. To embody this state of being does not mean you become a weak or passive doormat. It does not mean you will no longer face hardship, conflict, or negativity. On the contrary, this love becomes the source of your greatest strength. It is a fierce love. It is the love of a mother protecting her child. It gives you the clarity to see truth, the courage to speak truth, and the wisdom to act in a way that is both compassionate and powerful. It does not prevent the storms of life from coming, but it makes you the unshakable mountain that can withstand any storm without losing its center. To live from this place, where profound, unconditional love coexists with unshakable inner strength, is to live as an awakened warrior. And learning to navigate the challenges of the world from this empowered state is the next phase of your journey. To embody love as a state of being, to radiate the light of your own consciousness unconditionally, is the highest state. But this does not mean you will be granted a life free from difficulty. This is a common and childish spiritual fantasy. The path of awakening does not lead to a walled garden where no storms can enter. It leads to the summit of a great mountain, where you have the strength, the perspective, and the deep-rooted stability to withstand any storm that life may bring. To live from this place of profound love and unshakable inner strength is to embody the archetype of the awakened warrior. The term warrior can be misleading. It does not imply aggression, conflict, or fighting against the world. The unawakened person is already at war, waging a constant, exhausting battle against their own mind, against their past, and against the present moment. The awakened warrior is one who has ended this inner war. Having found peace within, they can meet the challenges of the outer world not with reactivity, but with a powerful, grounded grace. Their weapons are not made of steel. Their weapons are presence, acceptance, compassion, and the wisdom that comes from knowing their true nature. The central practice of the awakened warrior is to shift their core identification. You are not the weather. you are the mountain. For most of your life, you have identified with the weather. When the sun of success and praise was shining, you felt happy and worthy. When the clouds of sadness gathered, you became sad. When the violent storm of a crisis hit a job loss, a betrayal, a health scare, you became the storm itself. Chaotic, terrified, and lost in suffering. Your sense of self was completely dependent on the transient, ever-changing conditions of your life. You were fragile, at the mercy of forces beyond your control. The awakened warrior learns to identify with the mountain. The mountain is deep, vast, silent, and rooted in the very heart of the earth. Its core is fundamentally unshakable. The weather is what happens on the surface of the mountain. The sun warms its face, the rain washes its slopes, the snow blankets its peaks, and violent storms rage against its cliffs. The weather is constantly changing, but the mountain remains the mountain. It does not become the storm. It allows the storm to happen, to rage, and to pass, all while remaining in a state of profound, silent stillness at its core. Your true self, your awakened consciousness, is this mountain. Your life, your thoughts, your emotions, your external circumstances, the weather. To know this, not just intellectually but as a deep, felt reality, is the source of all spiritual strength. Let us see how the awakened warrior applies this understanding to the concrete challenges of life. Imagine you are faced with criticism or a personal attack. The ego, identifying with the fragile weather of its self-image, immediately feels threatened. It reacts defensively, with anger, with justification, with a counterattack. It is a storm reacting to a storm. The awakened warrior, however, is rooted in the mountain of their own being. Their self-worth is not derived from the opinions of others, so the winds of criticism cannot shake them. They can stand in the storm of the other person's anger and simply be present. From this place of stillness, they can see the other person's attack, not as a reflection of their own worth, but as a reflection of the other person's pain. They recognize the storm in the other person. This clarity gives them options the ego does not have. They can respond with a calm, firm boundary. I will not be treated this way. Or they can respond with compassionate silence, allowing the other person's storm to blow itself out without adding any of their own energy to it. They do not take it personally. They are the mountain. The attack is just weather. Consider the experience of a great loss, such as the end of a relationship or the loss of a career. To the ego, which had identified itself with the role of partner or professional, this is a catastrophic event. It feels like a death, because a part of its constructed identity has died. It reacts with despair, panic, and a deep sense of failure. The awakened warrior, however, feels the weather of this loss. They allow the rain of sadness to fall. They allow the winds of grief to blow. They do not deny their human emotions, but they do not become the storm. They remain identified with the mountain of their own consciousness, which was whole and complete before the relationship or job, and remains whole and complete after. They practice the art of surrender, saying yes to the reality of what is happening without resistance. By accepting the loss, they allow the old energy to move through them, clearing the space for the fertile void to present new possibilities. They know that after the storm passes, the sun will shine again on the mountain. When faced with what the world calls failure, a project that doesn't succeed, a goal that is not met, the ego creates a story of personal inadequacy. It uses the event as evidence for its core belief of, I am not good enough. It is the mountain believing it is a failure because of a cloudy day. The awakened warrior, understanding karma as a teacher, sees failure differently. It is not a verdict on their worth. It is simply impersonal feedback from the universe. It is life saying, this approach doesn't work, or this is not the right path for you. They extract the lesson with clarity, without creating a painful narrative around it. They learn, they adjust, and they move on, their inner peace undisturbed. The inner stance of the awakened warrior becomes one of profound trust. They can look life in the eye and say, "Bring it on." This is not an arrogant or aggressive challenge. It is a serene expression of faith in their own inner resources. It is the deep knowing that whatever life presents, they can meet it. They understand that every challenge is, in fact, an opportunity in disguise. It is an opportunity to practice presence, to deepen compassion, to strengthen non-reactivity, to anchor more firmly into the unshakable reality of their own being. The challenges are no longer seen as obstacles to their peace. They become the very training ground where their peace is forged and tested. As the awakened warrior practices meeting the little deaths of daily life, the death of a plan, the death of an expectation, the death of a cherished identity, their relationship with impermanence itself begins to transform. They learn not to cling so tightly to the fleeting forms of the world because they have found the formless, eternal reality within themselves. Their fear of life's challenges diminishes because their happiness is no longer dependent on the weather being sunny. This practice of non-attachment, of meeting loss with grace and change with equanimity, is the ultimate preparation for facing the greatest change of all. By befriending the small deaths, they learn, without fear, to befriend the great and final death of the physical form. The awakened warrior learns to meet the challenges of life with a calm and grounded presence, finding strength not in resistance, but in a deep acceptance of what is. This practice of meeting life's little deaths, the end of a relationship, the loss of a job, the fading of a dream, is the ultimate training ground. It prepares you to face the most profound truth of existence in the world of form, the one truth that the ego will do anything to avoid. This is the truth of impermanence, and at its heart, the reality of death. From the moment we become self-aware, we are haunted by a deep, underlying fear. It is the root of all other fears. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of sickness, the fear of loss. If you follow each of these branches down to the trunk, you will find they are all nourished by one single root, the fear of your own annihilation. The ego, the constructed sense of a separate self, is fundamentally identified with its own survival. Its greatest terror is the prospect of its own non-existence. This terror is the engine that drives so much of human striving, the desperate need for legacy, for wealth, for fame, for anything that might create the illusion of permanence in a world where nothing is permanent. But the promise of the spiritual path is not a fantasy of eternal life for the ego. It is the liberation from the fear of death altogether, through the direct realization of who you truly are. Before we can befriend death, we must first befriend its constant companion, impermanence. Open your awareness to the world around you and within you. Nothing is static. Your breath arises and passes away moment by moment. Thoughts appear in your mind and dissolve into nothingness. The cells in your body are in a constant state of dying and being replaced. The seasons turn in a majestic, endless cycle of birth, growth, decay, and rebirth. Civilizations rise from the dust and return to the dust. The stars themselves are born and will one day die. The entire universe is a great, flowing, cosmic dance of appearing and disappearing forms. The unawakened mind lives in resistance to this dance. It tries to cling to the pleasant forms: youth, pleasure, success, and push away the unpleasant ones: age, pain, loss. This resistance to the natural flow of life is the definition of suffering. The awakened consciousness learns to partner with impermanence. It does not mean you do not enjoy the beauty of a sunset. It means you enjoy it even more, knowing that it is a fleeting, precious moment that will never be repeated in exactly the same way. It is learning to hold the things of this world with an open hand rather than a clenched fist. Consider a single leaf on a great tree in autumn. As its color changes from green to brilliant gold, it does not cling to the branch in terror. There is a graceful, natural letting go. It does not see its fall to the earth as a tragic end. It understands, on an instinctual level, that it is part of a larger intelligence. Its purpose as a leaf is complete. Now, its purpose is to return to the earth, to become one with the soil. and to offer its essence to nourish the very roots of the tree that will give birth to new leaves in the spring. The leaf understands that it is not separate from the tree. It is an expression of the tree. Its death is merely a transformation of form, a necessary and beautiful part of a sacred cycle. You, too, are not a separate entity. You are a leaf on the great tree of life. Now, let us ask the ultimate question. When you contemplate your own death, who is it, exactly, that you fear will die? Take a moment to truly consider this. The answer is the ego, the story of you. The name, the body, the personality, the collection of memories, achievements, and failures. This is the entity that fears its end. And the ego is right to be afraid, because this constructed self, this temporary waveform, is indeed mortal. It was born in time, and it will dissolve in time. But are you that constructed self? Through the journey of awakening, you have had glimpses of a deeper reality. You have learned to witness your thoughts without being the thoughts. You have learned to feel your emotions without being the emotions. You have found the silent, aware space within, which is untouched by the drama of your life. This is the great discovery. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. You are not the leaf. You are the tree. You are not the character in the story. You are the formless, timeless awareness in which the entire story of your life is unfolding. This realization is sometimes called ego death. It is not a physical event. It is a profound, liberating, spiritual insight. It is the moment you experientially realize, I am not the limited, vulnerable persona I thought I was. In that moment, the root of all fear is severed. The fear of death can only exist if you are identified with a form that can die. When you shift your identification to the formless, timeless consciousness that you are, the fear of death becomes meaningless. Consciousness was never born, so it can never die. It is the eternal witness to the dance of impermanence. It is the silent, empty sky that remains untouched and unchanged by the clouds of life and death that drift through it. To befriend death is not a morbid practice. Paradoxically, it is the key to living a truly fearless and vibrant life. When you are no longer afraid of the ultimate ending, you are no longer afraid of the smaller endings. You stop making decisions based on fear and start making them based on love and authenticity. You take the creative risk because you are not afraid of failure. You speak your truth because you are not afraid of judgment. You love with an open heart because you are not afraid of loss. You are no longer trying to protect a fragile, mortal identity. You are living as the immortal consciousness that you are. You also begin to engage with life with a newfound richness and appreciation. When you know that every moment is precious and fleeting, you stop postponing your life. You no longer wait for a future special occasion to feel joy. This present moment becomes the special occasion. Every meal becomes a feast. Every conversation becomes a sacred encounter. Every breath becomes a miracle. You are no longer sleepwalking through your days, waiting for your life to begin. You are fully, vibrantly awake to the magnificent, transient beauty of it all. As this ultimate fear dissolves, something remarkable happens to the structure of your life. The frantic, anxious energy that drove you to accumulate more, to achieve more, to distract yourself more, simply falls away. The deep-seated insecurity that fuels consumerism and ambition is healed at its root. The need to build monuments to a temporary ego seems, for the first time, absurd. What is left when this frantic energy is gone? A deep appreciation for what is real, a profound sense of peace, a quiet, simple joy. Your focus shifts from a desire for more to a desire for depth. You are no longer interested in complicating your life, but in simplifying it, so that the radiant truth of your being can shine through more clearly. This is the natural outcome of a fearless heart, a return to the profound and luminous beauty of simple living. Having befriended the great truth of impermanence and released the root fear of death, The frantic energy that once drove your life begins to settle. The desperate need to build a monumental ego, to leave an indelible mark on the world, to accumulate wealth and accolades as a shield against non-existence, all of this falls away. It is a great unburdening. The heavy armor of ambition and anxiety, which you wore for so long you mistook it for your own skin, is finally laid upon the ground. What is left when all that striving ceases? The answer is at once profoundly simple and exquisitely beautiful. What is left is the radiant peace of an ordinary life, seen for the first time through the eyes of awakened consciousness. For years, you were a tourist in your own life. You rushed from one experience to the next with a long checklist of things you were supposed to see, to do, to achieve. Your suitcase was crammed full of desires, expectations, and the heavy baggage of your past. You were so focused on getting to the next destination that you never truly experienced the journey. The awakening process is the slow, graceful transformation from a frantic tourist into a peaceful pilgrim. The pilgrim travels light. They carry only what is essential. Their joy comes not from arriving at a destination, but from the quality of attention they bring to each and every step of the path. They know that the entire purpose of the journey is contained within the step they are taking right now. This is the shift into simple living. This is not a lifestyle choice based on aesthetics, nor is it an ideology of harsh deprivation. It is the natural, inevitable outflowing of a profound inner transformation. It is the result of a complete re-evaluation of what is truly valuable. Our society is under a deep hypnosis, a collective trance that equates happiness with accumulation and success with complexity. We have been taught to believe that more is always better. More money, more possessions, more followers, more experiences. To support this belief, we have created lives of bewildering complexity. We work at jobs we do not love, to buy things we do not need, to impress people we do not know. We fill our calendars with endless obligations and our minds with endless information, all while wondering why we feel so stressed, so disconnected, and so empty. The awakening is the moment you see the madness of this game and gracefully choose to stop playing. This choice leads to a new definition of wealth. Conventional wealth is measured in numbers, in a bank account, in the size of a house, in the brand of a car. But the awakened consciousness realizes this is a shallow and often misleading metric. There is a deeper, more authentic form of wealth. True wealth is a wealth of time. It is the luxury of having unstructured, unscheduled hours in your day, to simply be, to wander, to read, to create, to connect, or to do nothing at all. It is reclaiming your life from the tyranny of the clock. True wealth is a wealth of attention. In a world of infinite distraction, the ability to place your full, undivided attention on one thing at a time is a superpower. It is the richness of being able to truly listen to another person, to truly taste your food, to truly see the beauty of the world around you without the constant pull of a screen or an anxious thought. True wealth is a wealth of peace of mind. It is the priceless inner state of calm, resilience, and non-reactivity that you have cultivated through your journey. This is a form of wealth that no one can ever take from you, and that no amount of money can ever buy. True wealth is a wealth of connection, the depth and authenticity of your relationships with yourself, with your loved ones, and with the natural world. From this new perspective, a life of simplicity is not about having less. It is about having more of what truly matters. It is a deliberate strategy for becoming truly wealthy. By consciously reducing the number of your possessions, you free up the time and energy that was once spent acquiring, managing, and maintaining them. By simplifying your commitments, you reclaim the hours of your day. By curating your intake of information, you reclaim the power of your attention. By letting go of the need to impress others, you reclaim your own authentic self. This is when the true radiance of the ordinary begins to reveal itself. When your life is no longer cluttered with the non-essential, you have the space to notice the profound beauty that was always here, hidden in plain sight. Joy ceases to be a rare event tied to a major achievement. and it becomes a quiet, constant companion found in the simplest of moments. Consider the act of drinking a simple cup of tea. To the hurried, unconscious mind, it is a quick caffeine delivery system, consumed while multitasking. But to the awakened consciousness, it can be a profound ritual of peace. It begins with feeling the weight and warmth of the mug in your hands. It is noticing the steam rising in delicate dancing patterns. It is inhaling the rich, earthy aroma before you ever take a sip. And when you do, it is tasting it fully, letting the warmth spread through your body. In these 2 minutes, you have not just consumed a beverage, you have inhabited your life. You have experienced a moment of pure, uncomplicated, blissful presence. This is the radiance of the simple. Consider a simple meal. Instead of eating mindlessly in front of a screen, you sit at a table. You take a moment to look at your food, to feel gratitude for the earth that produced it, for the hands that prepared it. You eat slowly, tasting each bite, savoring the different textures and flavors. The meal is no longer just fuel. It becomes a communion, an act of connection with the web of life. Consider a conversation. In a world where everyone is waiting for their turn to speak, you offer the gift of deep listening. You put down your phone. You quiet your own mind. You receive the other person's words and the feelings behind their words without judgment. You create a space of safety and presence. In that space, true connection happens. This is a joy far deeper and more nourishing than the shallow validation of 1,000 social media likes. The path to this life is a gentle and compassionate process of simplification, both outwardly and inwardly. The outer work often begins with decluttering your physical environment. This is not about forcing yourself into a sterile, minimalist box. It is a loving process of asking of each object you own, is this truly useful? Is it beautiful? Does it bring me joy? It is the practice of consciously surrounding yourself only with things that support the person you are becoming. The act of letting go of an old object that is tied to a past identity is a powerful physical ritual that reinforces your inner transformation. Then comes the inner decluttering. You begin to curate your mental diet as carefully as your physical diet. You unsubscribe from the endless stream of notifications and newsletters that clutter your mind. You may choose to step away from the outrage-driven cycle of the 24-hour news and the comparison-driven world of social media. You become a fierce guardian of your own attention. Understanding it is your most precious resource. You learn the profound power of the simple word no, using it to gently decline commitments that do not align with your deeper intention for a peaceful and present life. This journey of awakening often begins with the feeling that ordinary life is not enough. We seek peak experiences, esoteric knowledge, and altered states of consciousness, believing that the truth must be found somewhere exotic and far away, and so we embark on a great quest. We journey inward, through the labyrinth of the mind, into the darkness of the shadow, and out into the cosmic laws of the universe. And after all this searching, where do we finally arrive? We arrive right back where we started, in our simple, ordinary, daily life. But we do not return as the person who left. We return with new eyes. We have discovered that the kingdom of heaven we were seeking is not in a distant land, but is hidden in a grain of sand. The profound truth we were searching for is woven into the steam rising from a cup of tea, into the sound of the rain, into the shared laughter with a friend. The ordinary is no longer mundane, it is luminous. The simple is no longer boring, it is sacred. This is the great homecoming. It is the final, beautiful paradox of the spiritual path. The realization that all you were ever searching for was the ability to fully inhabit the life that was already yours. And so, after a long and transformative journey, we return. We have traveled inward through the intricate labyrinth of the mind, descended into the rich darkness of the shadow, and soared into the cosmic laws that govern reality. We have journeyed through surrender, forgiveness, and creation. And where has this great spiritual odyssey led us? It has led us back to the exact place where we began, to our simple, ordinary, daily life. Yet, we do not return as the same traveler who departed. The landscape may appear the same, but our eyes have been renewed. We have come home, and for the first time, we are able to truly see the magic and the beauty of the place we never left. This is the final paradoxical flowering of the spiritual path. The frantic search is over. The seeker, that restless, dissatisfied part of the ego that was always looking for the next book, the next teacher, the next experience to finally feel whole, has dissolved. It has dissolved because that which it was seeking has been found. And it was not found on a distant mountaintop or in an ancient text. It was found in the silent, aware space that was here all along, patiently waiting behind the noise of the seeking mind. You are no longer trying to get to an awakened state. You are learning to live from it. This does not mean that the world around you suddenly becomes perfect. The traffic will still jam. The bills will still arrive. People will still act from their own unconsciousness. And the world will continue its chaotic dance of creation and destruction. The great change is not that the world has been rearranged to suit you. The great change is that you are no longer a prisoner of the world. You learn to be in the world, but not of the world. Imagine you are the eye of a great storm. All around you, the winds of circumstance rage. The news cycle shrieks, people's egos clash, plans fail, and emotions swirl. In your unawakened state, you were caught in these winds, tossed about helplessly, identifying completely with the chaos and the drama. You were the storm. But now, you have found a new center of gravity. You have found the still point at the heart of the cyclone. The winds still howl on the periphery of your life, but at your core, there is a profound, unshakable calm. You can observe the storm, you can interact with it, you can navigate through it, but you are no longer defined by it. You are anchored in the deep, silent peace of your own being. This is what it means to live an awakened life. From this still center, all the practices and principles we have explored cease to be separate techniques you must remember to apply. They merge into a single, seamless, and natural way of being. The observer, your silent witness, is no longer a part-time position you take up during meditation. It becomes a constant, background awareness. You walk, talk, and work, and yet there is always a part of you that is simply watching, a silent space that prevents you from becoming completely lost in the drama of doing. Surrender is no longer a difficult, conscious choice you must force yourself to make. It becomes your default state. When a situation arises that is not to your liking, your first response is not resistance, but a quiet, inner yielding, an acceptance of what is that allows you to respond with clarity and wisdom rather than blind reactivity. The present moment is no longer a destination you must struggle to arrive at. It becomes your natural habitat. You still use clock time to function in the world, but you are no longer a prisoner of psychological time. The heavy burdens of regret about the past and anxiety about the future have been laid down, and you discover the lightness and freedom of living in the only time there is. Now, your body is no longer just a vessel to be managed, but a constant, reliable anchor to the present moment. You live more and more inside your own skin, grounded in the felt sense of your inner energy field, which becomes your most trusted guide for truth and right action. Every aspect of your daily life becomes your spiritual practice. There is no longer a division between your meditation cushion and your office chair, between the temple and the supermarket. A difficult conversation with a loved one becomes a practice of compassionate listening. A frustrating moment waiting in a queue becomes a practice of patience and presence. Preparing a meal becomes a practice of gratitude. Your entire life is sanctified. It is all your path. It is all your practice. As you learn to live from this state of integrated awakeness, your effect on the world changes fundamentally. You become like a lighthouse. The lighthouse does not run up and down the coastline, frantically trying to save individual ships from the rocks. It does not shout warnings or try to change the course of the storm. It simply anchors itself firmly to its foundation and shines its light. By simply and steadfastly being what it is, it provides guidance, hope, and a point of orientation for all the ships that are tossed about in the darkness. Your service to the world is the same. You do not need to carry the burden of trying to fix everyone or to save the world. The most profound and impactful gift you can offer to humanity is to hold the frequency of peace in your own heart. By being an oasis of calm in a world of turmoil, by being a point of non-reactive presence in a world of drama, your very being has a healing effect on everyone and everything you encounter. You change the world not by what you do, but by the quality of consciousness you bring to your doing. And so we come to the end of these words. But it is not an ending, it is a graduation. The purpose of this entire journey, of all these concepts and metaphors, was to point you toward a truth that can never be captured in language. The words are the signpost, not the destination. The true teacher, the ultimate guru, is the silence that lies behind the words. It is the stillness within your own being. The invitation now is to put down all the signposts, to let go of all the concepts, and to simply live the truth you have discovered. The invitation is to listen, not to these words, but to the profound, living silence from which they arose, and from which you yourself are arising in every moment. The journey of words is now complete. We have traveled from the first crack in the armor to the quiet radiance of a simple life. But these words, these concepts, these metaphors were only ever signposts. They were fingers pointing to the moon. Do not mistake the finger for the moon. The time has come to let the words fall away, so you may be left with the silent, luminous truth they were pointing to. You began this journey as a seeker, believing that peace, love, and truth were destinations to be found in a distant future. You were a traveler searching for a faraway sacred land. You have journeyed far and wide through the inner landscapes of mind and heart, only to arrive at the great and final realization. The sacred land you were seeking was the very ground upon which you have always stood. The treasure you were hunting for was the one thing you could never lose, the silent, aware presence of your own being. The world has not changed. The storms will still gather, the waves will still crash, the seasons will still turn. The great dance of life and death continues as it always has. What has changed is you. You have learned that you are not the fleeting weather, but the eternal mountain. You have realized that you are not the fragile wave, but the boundless ocean. You have discovered that you are not the character in the play, but the silent, loving awareness that witnesses the entire unfolding. And so, we leave you with this one simple truth to carry in your heart. The world did not change, you did. And therefore for you the world changed. There is nothing more to learn. There is nothing more to seek. There is nowhere else to go. All that is left is to be the stillness in the midst of the noise, to be the peace in the midst of the chaos, to be the love that holds it all. Rest here, in the quiet, luminous simplicity of your own being. You are home. Be still, and know